Franklin Tyrone Tucker breaks the mold, so you need no lawyer in the game, matches his winning streak. Up in the courtroom, standing tall, no retreat. Got the judge and the jury tapping to his beat. Top of the court, Frank's the name you know. Took on the system, and he stole the show. Rising so high, ain't no going low. Franklin T stands tall, let the legend grow. Books and briefs, enhanced strategy so tight. Solo in the legal world, shining so bright. Beat every case, dropped every fight. Gavel drops, victory, feeling so right. Oh, top of the court, Frank's the name you know. Took on the system, and he stole the show. Rising so high, ain't no going low. Franklin T stands tall, let the legend grow.
Alrighty, welcome everybody. We are here live and welcoming Ty to Justice Watch Live. So this is the official podcast, Ty, of Justice is a Process. So this is your first visit to the podcast, and you've been on the channel, of course. So welcome, and I know Ty's got some big updates.
Well, your song there, man. I'm like, man, I'm surprised I'm not sitting here bawling right now. Literally, man, I'm sitting here, I got tears in my eyes. I'm like, man, it's been a long, long, hard fight.
Yes, it has.
Man, I'm gonna try to hold myself together.
Well, I know you've got a lot to update us. I know it's been quite a journey into 2025, and you've had some unexpected trials and tribulations so far. But I'm going to let you kind of take it away and update everybody on what's been going on and give us a little update.
Well, it's not exactly gone like I had hoped, but it is what it is. But the thing is, man, I'm working on all kinds of stuff, but trying to put my life back together and trying to move forward with the things we're trying to accomplish. Right now I've been, obviously, man, at this point, everybody knows the man about the divorce, and man, I have to deal with that now on top of everything else. But the thing is I'm trying to hang in there, man, hold on. So basically, as far as moving forward on all the other stuff, I've been going ahead and, we're revamping the Free Franklin Tucker sites to make them into the truth behind the treehouse is actually what the name is going to be for the sites now. And the bottom line is on those, it's going to be all of the case information that we have, right? Everything we have, and people will be able to go in and look at it. Because obviously, even after making the plea deal, there's a lot of unanswered questions. The case man left a whole bunch of unanswered questions. Because a lot of people don't even realize that there were other suspects that were involved in the thing. But the thing, but those actually do matter quite a bit as to what actually happened. And the thing is we don't actually have an answer for what actually happened yet. So, by putting that stuff out there on those sites, the hope is that, people can go ahead and they can dig into it. They can go ahead and see what they think. And also part of it will also help with gearing people up for these lawsuits, because, man, a lot of people don't understand how much stuff was done wrong in the case. and how much, man, how many things they did, dirty things they did, trying to convict me. And what we're actually talking about with these lawsuits and how much litigation it actually is. But a lot of it wasn't allowed to come out at trial. I've since since I've been doing the whole thing pro se, I've come to learn that a lot of stuff that people see or saw at trial. I mean, you're only seeing about 10% of what is actually out there and what we actually had to go through. I mean, there's 6 years, before that, fighting litigation and trying to get this misconduct handled. But unfortunately, we were met with more misconduct at every turn we had. Now, besides the litigation and besides trying to get the truth out as far as letting people see what information is out, what information is available. We also before I should since they we I'm so used to saying we. But the thing is okay. But before I left jail, I had already started complaints with outside agencies such as the FDLE, the JQC, DOJ. I mean, you name the initials, right? But the thing is those investigations should yield some answers for us, and that's what I'm hoping. Those will also go on all the Truth Behind the Treehouse, sites. Any answers we get from new investigations will go on there, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I mean, it's amazing the amount of stuff that was done wrong on one case. I mean, you're talking about everything from evidence tampering to, trying to set me up with the jailhouse snitch. I mean, just, an insane amount of things. And then, even with the judge, when we talk about Judge Jones, I filed my JQC complaint with, about him. I'm going to have to get back with them and, try and see where that's at. But the thing is I mean, this is a man who tampered with 2 witnesses, and people thought I was going to get a fair trial from him. I mean, they look at the trial and they think he's a fair judge. It's like, I mean, no, we knew he was dirty back in 2019. That's why we tried not to go to trial with him. And that's also the main reason I went pro se, is because of that. Because again, I think I've said it more than one interview. It was the only way I could figure out how to beat a dirty judge. I haven't met a lawyer yet who can beat a dirty judge. So that was kind of the rationale behind that. But besides that, then the other thing I started doing when I was in jail was I actually started contacting a bunch of civil rights groups, such as the ACLU. Was it the Southern Poverty Law Center? There's a bunch of them, that I started to go ahead and I contacted them. The point with that is to try and help the other people down there that, are going through the same thing. The justice system down there is no justice down there. I mean, there just isn't, I mean, the whole point is to do exactly what they just did to me, right? Is, man, just literally keep threatening you and keep hammering you and, man, keeping you in jail and, and, man, literally ruining your life until you're willing to take a deal,
Right. So have you heard back from those organizations yet, or are you still?
Well, the problem with that is I have to get back in contact with them at this point.
Okay.
Because anything they're sending it to the jail. You know what I mean? Because that was so I have to get with them and, man, give them an update on all my contact information and all that stuff. And actually, that's one of the things I'll be doing this week. Because I mean, they could help out with not even with the other people's lawsuits. Because, man, I imagine you're going to see a bunch of class actions coming down there. Is what I'm that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
Because I mean, when they put me back in that jail, I got a good reminder of how I'm not the only one. They do this to a lot of people, and and there's people down there. Now, obviously, man, not everybody's innocent. That's not the way it works. But even the ones that aren't, I mean, it's like nobody is getting due process down there. Nobody. And that's a problem. I mean, the whole idea of the system is to have it be fair. Not just so that they can railroad anybody they feel like.
So,
I mean, look.
So we have a question, Ty. Do you have a computer yet? Do you have a computer?
No,
yet?
I do not. No, I do not. But I actually did have somebody, one of our supporters, man. Went ahead and she's actually looking at trying to get me a computer. And I've had some other people actually. There's a couple people even here. Some friends who were trying to get me a computer. Because that would help out a lot.
So
Yeah.
another question has come in as well. It says, how is he surviving financially now? He was destroyed financially. So obviously everybody with the divorce and everything, you right now, obviously you're not at all now having access to any of the funds or money or millions of dollars that the press reported on. So financially now, what are you relying on? How are you getting by? What's going on, and what can we do to help? And is there a way
Right
we can
now,
help you?
well, right now I'm doing a GoFundMe at this point. And the
Okay.
reason for that is okay, you know, I, I can't say for sure. I mean, look, again, I mean, I'm looking at it as far as what legally is supposed to happen, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. The Lord knows I've had that lesson over and over again. But as we move forward, yes, I will be I will be going ahead and when we do this, I'm going to file for emergency support, right? To get through this. And the thing is once I do that, then man, then it should be okay. But at this point, no. I mean, right now, I mean, I have absolutely nothing as far as anything I had before. Whether financially or otherwise. I mean, I'm still wearing, like I said, I think I told you this before, but I'm still wearing the same pants that I wore when I got out of jail. At least my
So
friends here, got me.
essentially, a good understanding of your picture is when you walked out of jail, um, you were not provided any financial support really by anyone except for your brother. Is that
Well, no, that's not exactly true. Okay, because at first, when I got out of jail, Lauren and I were on good terms.
right?
We were actually on good terms. And everything I was saying before that, when I would go on the interviews and I was saying how we were going to work together, go after Monroe, file our lawsuits with them. She was definitely on board with all of that. But when I made the decision to come back here is when all of that just stopped. I mean, that just immediately stopped. But I mean, before that, yeah, she actually she got me a couple of hotel rooms, and because when I got sick, she was calling me in the hospital, and so I mean, yeah, we were doing okay. Now granted, it would have taken we have our issues, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we were on board with the whole idea of putting those issues behind us and trying to move forward against the people who really did a lot of damage to us. Um,
So,
you know, but
so Rainy Branch says she's recommending you get a Venmo or a Cash App account that you post on your Facebook because she says just the GoFundMe does have quite a bit of fees, but she's suggesting you do that. But what I have up here, guys, this is his GoFundMe. He's raised $110 on the 1.4K goal. So this, I'm just going to read it. I don't think Ty has access to a screen right now because he's doing all this on his phone.
no,
So
no,
this is what it says on the this is in case you guys haven't seen it yet. Click the link at the top of the chat. And you can go in and see this and share and donate. It's how he's hooked up right now. If you want to help him, quickest way to get to him right now to help him. And it says, "Hi, my name is Franklin Tyrone Tucker, but you can call me Ty. You may have seen me on Court TV or YouTube fighting pro se against a very corrupt Monroe County, Florida. The fight lasted 7 years, and even though I'm finally free, I lost everything I had. Again, my wife divorced me while I was still in jail, taking all the money with her. She also got rid of my apartment and most of my belongings, so I basically have the clothes on my back. We are taking it back to court soon, but unfortunately that won't be fast enough, so I need a little help. I know I actually hate asking at all, but desperate times. Just to make it clear, I don't want to fight my wife at all, and definitely not like this. We originally planned on working together, filing lawsuits against Monroe County, but she changed her mind because I came back to Portland. While I'm not exactly happy with her decision, I'm not asking anyone to betray Lauren. Just help if you can and let us figure out our issues in court like normal people. Thank you in advance, and thank you for all your support as I move forward into a whole new life." So I'm sure Ty also would want to recognize everybody who's so far supported Christine Fortunato, Kurt Reeves, Allison Burgett, Narita Rose, and I recently, just before the live, sent a $25 donation. So we've got 110 in there. So if you guys can help out, if you can't help with a donation, share it to try to help him out and try to get this going, because
I
like I
appreciate
said,
it too. It's like, it
this
kind
is
of sucks, man. I'm not usually a person, man, who's like, I don't really like asking for help too much. It's kind
absolutely
of,
bro. Well,
it's a flaw in some ways. I mean, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
because obviously I need it. It's just, man, I don't like asking for help. But at the same time, it's at this point, you
So
know,
what we
in order to move forward, I'm going to have to,
yeah, it looks like, I think under your scars said, I'm not sure. She said she's forwarding a laptop to you. She's just going through the ones she has to charge and wipe. So it looks like that might be the person that you're working with. I don't know, but she said she's going to forward you a laptop.
I would imagine so.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yep.
and look, everybody's been, very supportive. I mean, as
Yep.
far as it goes, just a lot of people didn't know, a lot of people didn't know how things went down after I got arrested, or, when I went to jail, and, and coming out of jail. So it was one of those, I mean, really, I mean, had things worked out with me and Lauren as far as being able to work together and, take care of these things, then yes, it wouldn't have been an issue. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So at this point, unfortunately, we're going to end up going to court and dealing with things in court. The thing is, and I really, I tried hard to make it, tried to get it so it wasn't going to be like that. I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to go that direction. But I mean, she has her own views and her own ideas about things. So it's like, I guess that whole part, like I said, I don't want to get into too much into any of our personal stuff, or things like that. I don't want to, man. I don't want to make it sound like oh, she's a bad guy or something like that. The bottom line is it's like, okay, we got to go and we got to take care of these things just like everybody else does.
Right. It's a divorce. So it's not going to be obviously positive because it's a divorce. So as a result, you guys got to go to court, figure it out, and figure out all these things through domestic court.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish it didn't have to be like that. I tried to,
Right.
talk to her beforehand, and even after she decided, even after she decided she didn't want to, go forward with the lawsuits, didn't, want to go forward with our plan, I was like, okay, well, tried to make it so that we didn't have to go to court. But unfortunately, like I said, she has her own ideas, and and yeah, that's unfortunately what the direction we're in.
Yeah,
So
if my dad was alive, he would tell you, Ty, he did domestic was, as he used to say, his passion was criminal law, but he made his money on domestic because that was what allowed him to do all the criminal law. But he said, it always ends up in court. I mean, it's just so difficult with these things for two people to see eye to eye on things, and that's where it's got to go. But it's a natural progression. It's just that obviously it's not where you want to see it go, especially when you
and then
have
this,
important fights to go on down in Florida that really are times of the
well,
essence in a sense to get
in
into
our
those
case,
fights.
it's even more sad in our case in some ways,
Mhm.
right? Because okay, you know, and look again, I don't know how much damage Monroe County, man, contributed to our marriage. I know it
Right.
contributed a lot. I do know that, and the thing is, it's unfortunate because I mean, the people who really did hurt us are the people we should be going after. I mean, instead of fighting, with each other, we should be, going down there and fighting against them, right? Because at this point, this is actually, what we've been working for 7 years. To actually get to a point where, now we can go back and we can actually fight against them and we can actually show what they did. So it's, it is unfortunate that I'll be walking that path alone. But at the same time, it's like, again, I fully plan on, moving forward with the lawsuits and the litigation because yes, they should not be allowed to get away with this. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with what they did. And, I don't, again, I can't speak for Lauren and, her decisions on why she didn't want to do it. But, it is unfortunate that it's caused, man, this huge rift between us. You know, and you know, it's but at the same time, you know, you're right. You know, and I can imagine, yes, your dad made quite a bit of money off domestics because Lord knows, I mean, there's always, man, domestics, you know, domestics available. You know, so, but you know, but yeah, you know, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yep.
And well, I plan on handling it just like everything else. You know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm just going to handle it as far as, you know, I'm going to go and, you know, take care of it, man, in court. And, you know, hopefully we can work it out somewhere in there. I mean, you know, we do have to go to arbitration, all that other stuff. So,
Yep.
you know, we'll see how it works out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, have you made any progress since now the civil case is going to be you fighting? Have you been able to make any progress with reaching out to any lawyers or anything like that?
Well, actually,
In the
and
position
oddly
you're in?
enough, I did actually have somebody last week, and this is an interesting prospect. He's going to help out. You know, okay. There's another person that I was in jail with, right? Who has a very similar circumstance as far as having the county just try and crush him. And he went ahead and, man, now he's going to be filing lawsuits against the county, and the you know the lawyers that he's actually dealing with. You know, I mean, you know, they're doing it pro bono. They're actually going to do it, man, you know, for a percentage. And you know that may be, you know, maybe part of it. Now he did ask me to come down there and help fight his case. You know, his name is Thomas Scagarelli, and man, yeah,
Uh-huh.
he they arrested him. They arrested him for feeding key deer, which is it's a misdemeanor, and tried to give him felony time for it.
Oh, wow.
Right, and they kept him in jail for years. And the man has leukemia. Didn't treat his, you
Wow.
know, wasn't treated for his cancer. You know, and basically, you know, I mean, you know, he's got serious health issues, and I mean, basically, they forced him into it too. I mean, he couldn't sit there in a jail where, you know, he's not getting treatment. So, you know, so yeah, so he's, you know, he's filing a bunch of suits against them, and yeah, you know, it's you know, he asked me if I would come, you know, come down there and help him, and you know, and again, his, you know, his lawyers, man, you know, again, for as much litigation as he has, you know, we have a lot more. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. You know, the biggest problem I'm seeing with the lawyers is it's going to take a fairly large firm, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking about a lot of litigation here. They did a lot of things wrong.
Mhm.
So, you know, the thing is, I mean, enough that I can't identify all the litigation myself, right? You know, I mean, obviously there's some that are easy to peg out. I mean, you know, the whole jailhouse snitch routine, you know, that violated 4 of my constitutional rights right there, you know, and then
Right.
they pushed it even after that, and they didn't even drop the case after that, you know, but that's besides the point. But the thing is just by doing that, you know, those are big deal lawsuits. I mean, when you violate people's civil rights, you know, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yep.
You know, those are usually the high dollar lawsuits. Those are the ones that, man, people, you know, when they actually do lose in court, it's you know, that's why they settle out most of the time, because I mean, really, you know, when they lose in court, they lose for hundreds of millions. You know, I mean, because I think the last one I saw was it this guy sued Tesla, you know, because he had some, you know, he had some issues with you know, discrimination, you know, based on race, right? And so that's, you know, that's only, you know, that's only one civil rights violation, right? So you think about it that way. He's filing for one civil rights violation, right? And he files on that, and you know, Tesla decided to take it to trial, right? Well, the jury awarded that man 136.9 million, you know, for that violation. Now we
Mhm.
have, I don't know how many violations. I can't even count them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But we are going to need a law firm. We're going to need a law firm that actually has, you know, multiple lawyers, multiple men, you know, paralegals. I mean, that kind of thing. Because it's going to take, just to even identify all the, you know, potential lawsuits. It's going to take a second. You know what I mean? Um, like I said, I've already identified quite a few of them. My lawyers, you know, my previous lawyers, Kara and Jerry, identified quite a few. But I mean, that was what we filed. We filed in the civil court in I want to say 2019, 2020, and those they did well. But the thing is even at that point, they've done more since. So since they've done a whole bunch more since, then it's also, man, you got to start adding notes in there, and then again, for as much as, man, as well as I, man, been able to get by, I'm still not a lawyer, man. I couldn't identify everything. There's no way.
Right. No, well, a civil case is going to be a lot more. There's a lot more steps, and it's going to, and whoever they get to defend them will just bury you in paperwork, and they'll bury you in discovery, and you're going to need people, it's going to, it's a totally different process. But remember too, Ty, though, that the civil process is also one of the powers of the civil process is the ability to depose, the ability to subpoena records and things. So, when you start the civil case, the firm will be, or whoever you select will be starting that process, with that in mind, that there'll be a period of time where there'll be actually, when you start a case like that, I mean, obviously the firm wants to know if they're not going to require payment from you, that they think they have a pretty good shot of winning, but they don't always. But they just want to know that they have enough to survive summary judgment and survive filing the suit, so they can get to the point of deposing witnesses and subpoenaing documents and getting to the bottom of all these things and getting these people on the hot seat and asking the questions that they can answer. Now on the federal case, have you heard anything from the Department of Justice? Have you been able to reach out to anybody over there or anything like that?
I haven't. Again, it's like it's very difficult because, man, I'm working from a phone, right?
Of course.
So this makes it a lot more difficult. But at the same time, from even when I was in jail, I mean, the feds are definitely down there. I mean, it's they're going through, man, and they're actually they're making a whole bunch of arrests, and they're actually doing indictments. And the thing is man, how long, I mean, their investigation could take years. I mean, it literally could take years. Because I mean, again, for all we've seen and all we know from the case, about how dirty that place is, well, you got to remember, man, even then we still only know, a small percentage of what the reality probably is.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, got to be much worse than, man, the small fraction we're seeing.
Right.
So I mean, I would imagine, yes, the DOJ is definitely down there. They're definitely, going through, and they're following, man, different chains, and, man, following the evidence, which Lord knows I wish they had done in this case, but okay, but at the same time, no, they're going ahead and I remember there was one, they made like 27 arrests, man, in one day, and then there's they've been making different indictments on different stuff, and yes, they've already had people down there in the government who have been getting tagged,
right,
who have been indicted. Actually, they even had one woman from the sheriff's department who's already been indicted, and she got 13 RICO counts. So I imagine, and she's free now, so I imagine she's going to be opening her mouth. We'll see.
So where are you at with social media stuff? Like, for instance, anything on? I know you said when we talked last time, you thought there was some potential for a Netflix documentary that people were reaching out to you from, like, Europe, and you have. Yeah, and then you said you had a podcast coming out. Have you heard anything on the podcast? When can we expect that? I know there's a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
hopefully, and it's like
these are things that will help also maybe give you some financial support as well, I would imagine, right?
Well, I would hope, and look, I would hope, man, some of those things are going to actually pan out. I've been talking to, quite a few people, but the thing is, man, look, there's a bunch of different projects people are talking about doing. One of them, I mean, you already know, has been in the works for a while, as far as the podcast series, but unfortunately, this story seems to be never ending. I thought, man, the ending of the criminal case would, kind of end it, man, for these people, so that they would have their story or whatever. But no, it just keeps on going. Because now we're moving on to, the civil things, and then obviously the criminal things on their side. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And then, obviously the whole divorce between me and Lauren, that's a whole nother issue. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that are still,
Well, I
still
think that,
question marks for
in my
people.
opinion, I mean, I think that, you've got enough in the criminal case alone in the journey to get to the no contest plea for at least a first season, if not 2
No,
seasons.
I would imagine
I
so.
mean, you've got
Yeah,
the,
actually, probably, man, it would be more than that, I would imagine.
I
But
mean, you could
the
have
thing
2 to
is
3,
okay.
4 seasons. I mean, this is something that, I mean, I think that
Yeah,
you've got to, but I think what you've got to explore though, Ty, is you got to explore telling the story yourself so that you can make sure that it's something that you're getting
well, yeah,
remunerated for, and that
and actually, that
it's
is
not someone else telling the story, and then they tell you, well, you're a source for my story, I can't pay you, and now you're putting all this
right.
time in. You've got to find a project that says, whether it's a book, whether it's finding a documentary and that can help you tell the story and get it out, and go somewhere like Sundance. I mean, and
Yeah,
you have a great title for it, um, pro se justice, and or and
well, actually, because
the
okay,
journey,
that is something well, I've been working on that, right? Okay, because once I get a laptop and I can actually type things in, I told you I have 2 books already written. Those one of them's called Pro Se. It's was it Pro Se Warrior: The Art of Legal Self Defense
yep.
is one of them, and that's just a book on strategies for pro se defendants. Basically tips on how to fight. And then there's another one called Pro Se Revolution, which is actually, my ideas about the justice system, things that are wrong in it, and how, encouraging people to go pro se more often. Which Lord knows all the lawyers and judges out there, on court TV hate hearing me say that. But the bottom line is man, we have serious holes in our justice system, and lawyers can't fix it. That's the problem. It's like, okay, and in reality, I mean, you got to think, everybody, man, depends on these lawyers. And man, look, that's not how it used to be. Granted, I mean, our legal system has become so complex that, yeah, people think they need lawyers, right? But the bottom line is, I mean, when it's first started, when you get back to the basics, where it started, man, when courts first came about, there were no lawyers. You had 2 farmers, man, and there one guy said, "Hey, this guy stole my chicken." You know, they go in front of the judge, and man, they'd argue their case, and man, the guy'd be like, "Okay, well, nope, it's not your chicken, or here, give him his chicken back, or pay him for his chicken." I mean, it's like, that's the thing is, it's we've overcomplicated it, but part of the reason why is because everything's run by lawyers now. So they justify their own existence by creating more laws. It's insane.
Well, I
But the way to
remember,
man fix that,
well, one of my dad's colleagues used to openly say this among his inner circle, is he said having a law license is a license to steal. Because what he used to say is you can bring people in, and the point is make it sound like a complicated legal thing, and it takes one phone call, it takes one document, and they charge somebody $1,500 for it.
right?
And he said, or
Yep.
you come in for the consultation. My dad never did consultations. He didn't believe in it because he said it was just taking money. And everybody said, you need to do that. He said, I won't do it. But all these lawyers started doing consultations. And at first it was $50, then it was $100. Now it's like $200. And and some lawyers are doing as high as $300 for a free
Right.
consultation. But it used to be a free consultation. Come in, let me talk to you about, talk about it. But it truly is. There's a lot of salesmanship when it comes to lawyers. They sell you like this is what it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I said, when you have a legal problem, my dad used to tell me this. He used to say, you're paying for peace of mind. Because when you have a legal problem, what you really want is you want this person to tell you it's going to be okay. And doesn't mean it's going to be okay, but it gives you the ability to say, I just paid this guy $5,000 and he's telling me it's going to be all okay. So now they can go home and sleep. And that was almost one of the ways my dad would sell people and say, listen, I'm going to, we're going to get here. And that's what he knew people wanted to hear. And then they would part with their money. And my dad was very successful in doing it. But you're 100% right.
Yep.
That's why that's why it seems so complicated. It's really not
Yeah.
complicated.
It's really okay. Well, It depends on what type of law you're talking about, obviously. I mean, like, again, civil law litigation, man, can be a lot more complex than criminal. That's what and same thing with appellate. And, I mean, if you're going to go into tax law or business law or any of that kind of stuff, I mean, that can get, man, complicated. But
Yep.
part of the reason it's complicated is because, okay, first off, this whole idea that we're going to keep on using Latin for everything, that's retarded. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, okay, look, nobody uses Latin anymore. Let's not, get rid of the whole voidere thing, and let's just call it picking a jury. You know what I mean? That would make it so that most people could understand exactly what's in the laws and understand how they work.
Well,
Because I mean, that's where a lot of people get intimidated and where they get hung up is on the wording of these things. They use a lot of Old English and they use a lot of Latin, and it's confusing to people. And I mean, and I think that's purposely so. In some ways. But the bottom line is I mean, like, okay, even when I was in jail, I told you about, because okay, the whole pro se revolution. I actually did a little experiment of my own when I was in jail. And, the thing is yes, I was encouraging many inmates to go pro se. Because, man, don't get me wrong, that dirty system down there, if all those inmates down there in that jail decided to go pro se tomorrow, it would shut that system down. They'd be done, because there's no way they could handle it.
Yep.
And that's the thing is, man, okay, so pro se is a way to fight the system from inside the system. Instead of, lighting fires and throwing bricks at some protest, you could actually just fight from inside the system. And the thing is okay, because, okay, there are advantages to being pro se, right? Especially, okay, in today's system. Like, again, many people have heard me say that, I don't like the plea deal system. I don't like it at all, even though I just took a plea. And matter of fact, my case is exactly why I don't like the plea deal system. Because no, instead of dropping the case like they should have, no, they want to go ahead and threaten me into a plea deal. And then they could have made very good on that threat. Thing is okay, but that's not justice. That has nothing to do with justice. Zero.
Right.
If you can, just basically, literally kidnap somebody and extort them into a plea, that's not justice. That's not even close. You didn't prove anything, right? All you did is prove that you can be a thug. Is basically it. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't like the plea deal system, but I mean, as far as most of these guys who are in there, right? They're sitting in there waiting for years for a PD to go ahead and cut a plea for them, right? That's what they're waiting on, right? Well, instead of, man, waiting on some public defender to cut your plea for you, if you know what you want, cut out the middleman. Go ahead, go pro se, talk to the prosecutors yourself, cut your own damn deal. I mean, because a lot of these guys, especially if you're talking about the drug trade or anything like that, they're out there cutting deals every day in the streets, So, I mean, what? Now you're afraid because, man, there's a guy in a suit sitting across the table? If you know what you want, go ahead and get it, So, I got my buddy here, man, Blue is, man, with me. So he just decided to join us.
Oh, he did. What's going on? How you doing? That's the infamous.
He's kind of a big boy. He's kind of a big boy. So, man, when he decides that he wants to, man, come up behind me or, come up on my lap, he's kind of pushy about it, So, I mean, back to what we were talking about. It's like, look, a lot of people, especially in pretrial criminal, could handle their own cases. A lot of them could, but yet they sit in jail for years waiting on, man, public defenders or, even private attorneys to go ahead and do something, and that's part of the problem. And that's actually why pro se works against the system, because their whole idea is to leave you in jail as long as they possibly can, so that they can go ahead and get you to take that plea deal, right? Go ahead, man, just keep leaving you there, destroying your life, and, making it so that, yes, man, you suffer enough that you'll eventually take a plea. That's the idea, and, to nix that in the behind, instead of sitting there waiting years, go ahead and, man, cut your own, own plea deal or go ahead and take care of your own case. There's a lot of ways that pro se can actually be used to a defendant's advantage. Because Lord knows you don't have to stay pro se for the trial like I did. Because a lot of people were intimidated by trying to do that. And I mean, especially in a case, as big as mine was, right? I mean, trying to go, that trial, I mean, I get a lot of criticism for, how I did at the trial. But the thing is you got to remember, I had 4 months to prepare for that trial, and I had, again, I've never done this before, so, it was definitely a learning curve there.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I mean, look, it was, in that situation, I was painted into a corner where it was the only way to win. It was the only way I could see to win. Because I even talked to Karen Jerry after the judge. A lot of people don't know what the judge did prior to try and screw us. But yes, he put us in a position where, there was a very good, a likely chance we were going to lose. And, my lawyers didn't have any answers to how to deal with that. Right. Other than, let's go in and hope for the best. And man, when your life is on the line, that's not what you want to hear.
Right.
You don't want to hear that, we're just going to go in there and argue the case and hope for the best. No, it's like, okay, it's like, he put us in the exact position we didn't want to be in. Right. And if you can't figure out a way out of that, and we have to go in and fight this case in court and trial with a dirty judge, somebody we know is a dirty judge, and we're just going to go in there and argue our case and hope for the best against a dirty judge, that's not going to work. It's like, so, okay, well, and it may have not been the best. I mean, look, everybody would be like, oh, well, they criticized my decision for that. But the thing is it was the only chance I had, as far as I could see, my lawyers weren't giving me any better answers. So, it's like, okay, even if it's a horrible choice, if it's the only chance you have to win, then you take it. That's it.
Right.
That's basically it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I went in there and did the best I could, and luckily, man, I came out on the other side, so, and same thing with even after jail, I mean, going to jail, it was like, they tried to tie my hands behind my back. They tried to make it so that, I couldn't fight. And actually that was the whole plan. I mean, everybody talks about, Morgan and, the whole UA thing and all that other stuff. I mean, it was obvious what he did there. I mean, that was obvious. I mean, because look, they lied and straight up said I didn't show up to the damn thing. And man, yes, I did show up to the thing. And not only that, I passed it. But at the same time, he didn't give me the hearing like he was supposed to, didn't give me the notification like he was supposed to. That's part of Florida law, right? He's supposed to give me notification and give me a hearing before he ever revokes my bond. But then he goes ahead and revokes my bond, right? And then he gives me a $3.1 million bond when he knows I'm, at that point I'm indigent,
Absolutely
right?
ridiculous.
I made him aware of that. Well, and you're talking about, okay, that violates, again, you talk about violating your constitutional rights. That violates the 8th Amendment.
Yep.
Right? Because, I mean, that's been ruled on many times.
Well, and then, Ty, one of the biggest things that violates your rights in that regard is it violates your 8th Amendment right. But then when they denied you access to the actual paperwork that would have allowed you to challenge that, and they didn't, and they deprived you of a hearing, your due process rights were violated in several ways because you should have gotten a hearing to confront that. Your right to confront the allegations that they used was you were not given that right. You were just revoked and picked up at the airport and then set up basically to walk into the airport, even though they knew you were coming. And they set you up.
That's one thing to clear up too, because a lot of people think that, man, okay, that I was somehow, I had another violation because I went to the airport without, went to the airport when I wasn't supposed to, leave the apartment. The thing is, that's not the advice I got from my lawyer, right? Because I did remember, I still do have lawyers who advise me, right?
Right.
And at least I did. I haven't had them for a while. But the thing is okay. At that time, my lawyer, he was like, no, at this point, man, that deal is terminated, man. The pretrial release is done. You know what I mean? Once they decide to violate me and go ahead and revoke my bond, I'm a fugitive no matter what. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter whether I sit in my apartment or whether I go and try and self-surrender. I'm still a fugitive, right? So it doesn't matter. He's like, it doesn't make a difference at that point. That deal is over with. So for them to expect anything out of me as far as that, staying in my apartment, that just was, it's a ridiculous idea. I mean, they're going to come and arrest me as a fugitive either way, so, but I did actually, and that's another thing a lot of people didn't know when I went to jail and yes, I did notify the judge. I notified, man, I notified everybody. Everybody knew I was coming, as far as, as far as it went. I even notified pretrial, even though I didn't have to. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I was coming down there and coming down to self-surrender. But yet they go ahead and they have me arrested at the airport. Now that was just Morgan, man. That was just Morgan's ego. Because if you remember right, when he went ahead and he said to me after the violation about the battery, right? He goes ahead and he says to me, he's like, well, the next time you violate, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to have you brought back in shackles, and you're going to be in shackles throughout the rest of the trial, right? And that's exactly what he guaranteed. Because, man, okay, he goes ahead and has me arrested and has me put in shackles and brought back, and then made sure I was in shackles. I was in shackles every time I was in court. And yes, he definitely planned on, making sure that I stayed in jail throughout trial, because that was what the $3.1 million bond was about, because he knew there was no way I was going to be able to afford that. So, I mean, you talk about, dirty. I mean, not, again, he's not supposed to be doing that at all. Right. I mean, you got to remember pre-trial, right? Detention is not supposed to be used as punishment ever.
Correct. That's 100%.
Right. That's illegal. You're not supposed to do that. Illegal. Right. You haven't proven me guilty of anything, so you have no right to hold me like that. But yet they do it. Right. And I mean, it's amazing how many things that they don't really have the right to do, but they do. And part of the problem is people don't go after them afterwards.
So Ty,
right? Well, that's one of the reasons why.
Update you. I don't know if you can see chat. I don't know if you can see chat.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, just want to let you know. But
I can. But I got to get to the bottom.
Tammy Heilman.
Hold on, let me scroll up here.
In, and she is going to be donating. She said several messages. We'll get you updated on what she's been saying here. But she said she was asking for contact info because she said she has a program that gives, and she's going to pay the difference at whatever the date is potentially that your GoFundMe expires on. And then she was saying further, she can send you a brand new Lenovo laptop. So she's going to be reaching out to you via email. Wow. And she's going to send you, and she said also she's going to try to kick in, and she's got a program that's going for people. She's going to spread your calls to get people to donate, because she says 1.4K, which we all agree, $1,400 isn't enough, to last long term. Wow. So she's going to try to generate some awareness here. So she has a team.
Really appreciate it.
She says, "Thank you, Rainey. I have a team that helps out. It's called Tithings." So she's going to be reaching out to you to coordinate all of that, Ty. So be on the lookout. I gave her your email, the Ty's Life email. So, and she will be
great. And I mean, I really appreciate it. It's like, and look, I mean,
and I'll forward this is the thing too. Is I'll forward to you.
It's funny, because I feel so weird about asking for help, and I feel weird about accepting help. And it's like, but here's one thing that, man, I don't feel weird about as far as asking for help with. Is, because a lot of people after the case was over, right? They think that this is the end, right? That was the end of it, right? Mm-hmm. The criminal case is over. There's just nothing left to support after that, right? But that's not the case. The thing is, as we've been talking, and as you can see here, there's a lot of things that are still going on. Part of the reason I brought those civil rights groups in and we're trying to get them involved is because, I mean, no, what they're doing down there, I can't even imagine how many thousands of people, they've done this to, and how many families, they've affected, and how many different people have had to suffer because of what they're doing down there. And to allow it to keep on going on, just because okay, my case is over, I'll go off into the sunset and just live my life. No, I mean, you can't do that. It's like, okay, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't, it's one of those, okay, yes, man, I'm in a bad position right now. And I appreciate the help. I mean, I do, as far as personally, but there's bigger issues here, right? There's much bigger issues here. And that's, in order for me to actually, fight these people, yes, I mean, I'm going to need help. And it's not even just in this sense, you know, people need to, man, be aware of what's going on down there. People need to be aware of, man, you know, the problems that are going on down there. And yeah, they also need to, man, raise their voices and say, no, this is not what we do here. This is not justice. This is not, you know, what should be allowed at all in any community. I don't care what community it is, right? And I know it's going on in other places in the country, right? I know that too, right? But this is one I know I can do something about. You know, I know what they do down there. I know how dirty they are. I know what, man, you know, what they do. So, you know, for me to just walk away and ignore all the other people down there that are having these things happen to them, you know, I mean, you know, again, how could I ever look myself in the mirror by doing that? You know, I mean, you know, sometimes you got to do it just because, man, it's the right thing to do. You know, so you know, so yeah, I mean, you know, because I mean, a lot of people, they think it's all about the money with the lawsuits. No, the money is a means to, man, make them. You know, basically, you can't throw an entire county, you know, county's worth of, you know, politicians and officials and stuff like that in jail. It's not going to happen. But what they can do is they can actually hurt them financially and make it so that they don't want to do these things again. That's the whole idea behind punitive damages.
That's
You know,
right.
punitive damages. That's why those damages are so high. That's why that guy got 136.9 million. Right? He got that because, man, yes, that's to make sure that Tesla realizes it hurts when you violate people's civil rights. And man, that you probably don't want to do this again because it's going to cost you a lot of money. Right? So yeah, so that's why they do it. But the thing is yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be gathering up support, you know, for these fights, you know, because I mean, it's going to take more than just me. You know, I mean, I'm one man. I can only do so much, you know, and I realized that actually after we did the thing with the DOJ, because okay, we were talking earlier about how the feds are down in the Keys, and I don't find it a coincidence that just before I got arrested, I went ahead and posted on Facebook and I asked everybody to go ahead and file complaints with the DOJ, right? And file them, you know, I put a link up there to their website. And I said, you know, go ahead and file complaints. Tell them what you saw during the trial. Tell them what you think about what's going on, and you know, so that they'll investigate and leave my complaint number with it. Because I mean, I was blatant about what, you know, with them about what I know is going on, right? I mean, they're basically organized crime, pretending like they're a legal system. That's basically it. And man, they do everything that organized crime does. So the thing is, you know, so by doing that, though, I don't find it a coincidence that 3 months later, the feds are all of a sudden all over that place. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, one voice they can ignore. They can ignore one voice. They can ignore me all day, right? But can they ignore 1,000? Can they ignore 10,000? You know, can they ignore 1,000,000? Right? It takes, man, those voices to make people, and you know, do the right thing sometimes.
That's right.
You know, so that's you know, that's where
So
everybody here is important. You know, you're all important. You know, I
absolutely.
mean, and you're all helping by just even being here. You
So
know,
Ty,
so
a couple
yeah.
requests coming in from the chat. One, some people would like you to go on Amazon and create a wish list that people could help, and then it will allow, you can put an address where you can receive those things, and then people can go on and buy you things on Amazon. So if there's things you need to restart, help out, things of that nature, things you might need to try to help with different things. So they'd like you to do that. So if you have some time, you can do that on your phone. Just go in, start a wish list. And then also,
I'll go ahead and
and then also they were saying that we need to start a Facebook group, or you can, where supporters can come. I think that's a great idea, and ask for help, and you know, we can all come in and everyone can kind of rally around you, because we know you need help. You know, I know it's hard to ask for help, and
actually, I mean, that's an interesting idea. I mean, you know, the thing is, I'm hoping that I won't need help that long, right? Because
right.
okay,
Well,
I'm really hoping that because okay, once I get a laptop and I get working, I mean, I've got projects that can make me money that I'm working. You know, again, I put out the 2 books that I have. I'm also working on my own channel. I didn't mention that one yet. But you know, because man, actually, I already got the channel. I haven't put much up there, except for I do have some videos of Darnell Brooks up there. But that one is, it's again, it goes with the same name of the book, man. It's called Pro Se Revolution.
Right.
And on there, I'll be discussing, man, different tactics for pro se defendants, but also I'm going to do kind of what you do in some
Right.
senses. And I'm
Absolutely.
going to go ahead and, I'm going to be pulling up different pro se defendants, as they fought at trial
And
and,
reviewing them.
kind of critiquing, what they had done and, what they could have done better, what they could have, what they did good, what they could have done better, whatever. But I'm also going to be bringing up, because this is one of the ones that kind of annoys me with this thing, because you got all these lawyers out there talking about, you got to fool for your client, man, if you go pro se. And, you got to remember that quote comes from a lawyer, first off. Second off, the thing is okay, for as many bad pro se defendants as you can pull up, which there's a lot. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not. Darnell did not do himself any justice. But the thing is okay, for as many bad pro se defendants as I can pull up 100 times more of crappy lawyers who lost their client's case.
Absolutely.
Where they may have been better, they may have been better off going pro se. So I mean that, so I'm going to be pulling them up too.
Well, I was going to say, Ty, I'm going to be airing. I'm sure if people think I don't actually have this, but I do. But what I'd like to be able to do, I'm going to reserve it, is sit down and maybe you and I can run the Rory trial and listen to it with the audience, and you can critique it and you can talk about it and you can fill in some blanks for people. I think that would really be something to add just to the drone of the AI voices, to be able to sit there, and the transcript will be up. So we'll be able to stop and talk about different things because it's done with the transcript scrolling. So I think that would be a really nice added little effect to say, hey, we have you there, we're talking, we're rolling. And be able to do it.
Well, I think you'll agree with me. That actually goes right with what I was just saying about, one of the things I'm going to put on my channel. Because, Anna Gomez Malata, Rory's lawyer. Now, look, Rory was guilty. Let's just put it that way. He was guilty. He actually deserves to be right where he's at for, in my opinion, he deserves, man, the punishment he has. But what he didn't get that he also deserved is, man, he had a crappy lawyer who didn't do anything to try and defend him, right? And no, that's not how the system's supposed to work either, right? He did not get a fair trial. Anybody who thinks he did, no, he did not.
No, he didn't.
His lawyers showed up at trial with an empty notebook and a pen. Didn't call one witness in his defense. I mean, it's like that. Granted, I mean, if we're just going to forgo the system and say, okay, well, we know he's guilty because there's all this evidence on him. Why bother having a trial? I mean, the bottom line is, man, a defense attorney is supposed to do their best to defend you, and she did not anywhere close.
Well, as I told you, Ty, once I listened to that trial, or I read it and then I listened to it, and I'm going through it, and I was like, I understand. If this is what the public defender's office in that area was bringing to the table, this was terrible. I said, I understand now why Ty would say, I'm not going with a public defender under any circumstances. You're definitely better off.
Makes a lot more
with
sense
yourself.
if you read that one, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and you got to remember though, that's how many other people are in that same circumstance down there, right? Yep. I mean, I told you I helped out this one guy who was in there. His name was Timothy Blanton, right? He was another one who was in there for murder, right? He was in there for arson and murder. And the thing is he had been in there for 4 years, right? He had been sitting there, and he had a public defender, right? And in those 4 years, his public defender didn't bother to read the offense report that would, literally puts, says right in the offense report that his judge used to be the prosecutor. Well, you can't have that. That's conflict of interest all day, right? But yet for 4 years, his public defender doesn't, do anything about it. And he's got, the prosecutor making rulings on, how his court case is going to go, right? But okay, so we go ahead and we took care of that, and got rid of the judge, and then after that, he wanted to get rid of that attorney, right? Again, ineffective assistance of counsel. You would think that would be enough to prove it, right? But absolutely. No, obviously, Judge Jones. That was actually another Judge Jones case. He said, no, you're stuck with this PD, right? I'm not going to give you another lawyer. And so he decided, and we talked about it. He decided to go pro se. Right, he goes pro se, And actually, within 2 weeks, he cut a deal to get it over with. He had it done. So I mean, he would have been sitting in there. Had he not done that, he would have been sitting in there for another couple of years with his PD. He would have went to trial. He probably would have lost, and he would have done life in prison. So I mean, the thing is, by going in and again cutting out that middleman, then man, yeah, he went ahead and he got resolution to his case. I think he's got about 7 months, man, left to do in prison, and then he's done. I mean, and don't, again, I don't want anybody thinking that, man, I'm out there, man, trying to get people off that, man, that are, actually, guilty or anything like that. Again, not that I consider it, that much, again, I consider more, are they getting a fair shake? Are they getting, are they getting,
now remember, Ty, the thing is right. It doesn't matter. I mean, when you're helping people like that, whether you're guilty or not, you deserve to have your rights. In having a public defender that comes in and just mails it in is not the way it should work. And it's even if you're guilty, you deserve to have a fair process, and the state should have to come into court and prove their case. And if you're guilty, they're probably going to be able to do it. So to me, but if it's coming in unfair, if you're not being given, if your ability to confront the evidence against you is being hindered because your public defender is incompetent or unprepared or not studying the case, that's a tremendous injustice. Even if the person is guilty, that should not go there.
And it's become systemic. I mean, that's the problem. It's like, okay, because think about it. Why didn't they properly investigate this case? Right now, granted, there's some dirty issues, man, I think in there that caused some of this. But I mean, okay, even at best, this was, man, a totally incompetent investigation. And why is that? Because look, they know they're going to get their conviction either way, right? They don't at this point, they don't feel like they actually have to look for evidence, which that's crazy. We don't arrest people and then go looking for evidence. That's not how the system
works that way.
It's not like a LA law where the prosecutor goes to the cops, hey, we don't have enough, you just don't have enough here, go get some more, right? That's not how it works anymore. Now they arrest them and, man, just go ahead and, man, make them suffer until they take a plea deal. I mean, that's again.
Well, that's why I remember when you let me know you were getting brought back down and we were chatting. I think you were in my chat and I was talking. I mean, that was my read on the situation, and it's exactly what they ultimately ended up successfully doing was they wanted to lock you up to make you more prone to take a plea. And they got down there. The good news is it was actually good because it gave you didn't understand necessarily the benefits of the no contest plea, and by being there and being able to understand it, it helped you resolve this thing. But it still doesn't make it right that they did what they did. They illegally
it doesn't make any of it right. None of it's right. But the thing is I mean, because look, now don't get me wrong, the plea deal I think was secondary, right? I think actually what they had planned on doing, because, man, Judge Morgan was really upset when I went ahead and disqualified him because okay, I think their original plan was, okay, now that we have him arrested and he has none of his case information, none of his, he can't even get supplies, has to handwrite his motions, all this other crap. We've got him at such a handicap that, man, I think they were actually trying, they were going to try and push me to that September date.
No, I think so too. Once they got you there, yeah. Well, right, because they were going to try to make you, or they were hoping you might take a plea that you wouldn't have taken before.
Right.
And it wasn't until you're right, until you showed them that now you were going to push this thing to be, who knows when it ends. And then it was like, we got to get rid of this. We got to get rid of this thing. And then you're down there, of course, empowering people in the jail. And they're like, we can't have this guy. There's no way this guy can sit here another year. We're going to have a whole damn uprising in the courtroom.
Yep. All of a sudden, I was like a cancer in the place, man. It's like, okay, they thought I was a virus.
You played it expert. It was an expert strategy, the way you played it,
and here's the thing is, okay, I go ahead, man, I cut that deal, but I mean, okay, and I plan on getting the audios from those hearings that you guys didn't get to hear, right? Because all the motion hearings, you guys didn't get to hear.
Do you have that audio yet, or do you have to order it?
No, I mean, I had it as far as it was in my, the judge had ordered it given to me through discovery. So, man, but it was never given to me. So, but I can go ahead and get it through 119 request or whatever.
Oh, okay. I
But the
got you.
thing
I got you.
is, okay, I plan on getting all the hearings, man. Any of the audios that we don't have, especially the important ones. But
Right.
okay, when you do listen to that hearing, one of the things you're going to hear is when I disqualified Judge Morgan. Look, I knew he was going to deny the motion. I knew that,
Mhm.
right? And so I go ahead and I was like, look, I have a application for a writ of prohibition already ready to go. Just need to fill in the blanks. I'll file that with the third DCA tomorrow, and we can go ahead, and I think we should take a continuance until the higher court has a chance to decide on whether or not you're going to be the judge, right? And he's like, okay, he's like, oh well, that could take 4 months, and I was like, that's fine, I got time, you know, and I didn't have anything but time at that point.
Right.
So
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
so he goes to the state, and I think he was looking for the state to help him, right? But he
Mhm.
turns over to the state, and he's like, well, state, do you have anything to say? And they're like, no, we're fine with it. And so he was stuck, and he literally, he says at one point, he's like, well, that kind of kind of ruins our plans. And it's like, even to say that kind of ruins our plans. It's like, okay, how obvious are you trying to make this? You
Well,
know
I
what I
felt
mean?
well, Ty. I felt like the guy was being very, very blatant, very in front of your face. He really felt like there was nobody gonna be seeing this, watching this, caring about this, and
Right.
that's just kind of how I felt about him. I really felt like he showed no respect for the court, the justice system, in the way he was
Well,
acting.
I'm with you, but I mean, look, they all do that stuff down there. But Jones, okay, the one thing I'll give Jones, right, is okay. He was very aware of media, right?
Mhm.
He understood that, man. There were a lot of people watching the case. There's a lot of people, man. There's a lot of eyes on it, and yes, he would mind his p's and q's when he needed to, right? I mean, there were times though. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there are times that, man, I definitely made him to get to a point where he couldn't hide it anymore. I mean, because again, that's again part of the benefit of being a pro se defendant, and especially when you're looking at a life sentence, is I don't care about a contempt charge. My
Right.
lawyers do. You know, I don't care about a contempt charge. If you're going to get up there and you're going to be dirty and you're going to make dirty decisions, I'm going to call you out on them.
Absolutely.
And if you want
Yes,
to
sir.
tell me to sit down, shut up, whatever, you want to give me a contempt charge, fine, throw your 30 days on top of my life sentence. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, at that point, it's like, so it makes it definitely, man, as far as beating the dirty judge, yeah, it made it so I could fight, whereas my lawyers, for as good as my lawyers were, and I love my lawyers, and as good as they were, it's like, no, they couldn't do those same things. I saw it happen time and time again in those 6 years prior to trial, where, he would make a horrible decision, again, against all law that we have, right? And he'd make just say, nope, I'm denying your motion. And my lawyers would be up there arguing. They'd be like, well, Your Honor, the law is clear. And he's like, well, I just said I'm not going to do it.
Mhm.
So, it's my courtroom, sit down, shut up, you know? And man, what would they do? They'd sit down and shut up, right? Well, the dancing monkey doesn't have to do that. Dancing monkey man can sit up there and still argue to some extent.
Right.
So
Well,
it's
you don't
like,
have to worry about disciplinary
so
proceedings,
I
and you don't
mean,
have to worry about anything happening to you personally after you
no, I
get
don't
out
have
of
to
the
worry about
courtroom.
losing my law license. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my career. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And man, that's what, again, when you talk about the benefits of pro se, one of the things about it is that, okay, I learned, and I definitely learned this in jail. And man, actually, here's a statistic for you. I probably helped at least, I don't know, 30, 40 people at least, man, with their cases, as far as it went, and all of
Mhm.
them had a positive resolution. All of them, right? Because okay, when you're pro se, right? Look, you have one client, right? You actually care about your client, and yeah, you have 24/7 a day when you're in jail to work on your case, which is also why, man, one of the reasons I said it would shut the system down if all of them decided to go pro se at once, right? Is because of the speed. Pro se
Right.
is, man, 100 times faster than a lawyer could ever be, right? Because okay, a lawyer has other clients, right? Whether it be the PD or whether it be a private lawyer, right? Well, they have other clients that they have to deal with. It takes them 3 months to put out one motion, right? I
Mhm.
can put out 20 motions in a week, So the speed alone, right? I mean, if you got a pro se defendant involved in the case, right? If you got a pro se defendant who's actually involved in the litigation, you know who controls the speed? The pro se defendant. You know, he controls the speed of the entire process at that point. Because okay, you know, if I want to slow things down, then I can go ahead and file motions one at a time, right? But if I really, or even better, man, some ways, man, okay, go ahead and file 20 motions in one day that they have to take care of. I mean, I can control the speed of how things are going. And the thing is, man, a lawyer can't do the same thing. I mean, it's just, they don't have the ability to do it just because they don't have the time or the drive at that point. So I mean, because that's the other thing is not only do you have only one client, but yeah, you care about that client, man. You can't pay somebody to care about your behind more than you do. And that's just the way it is. Even the best lawyers out there, the most concerned lawyers out there, yes, they care about their clients, but at the end of the day, it's it's the defendant who's actually going to pay the price for whatever happens in there, right? I've seen so many times where lawyers lose, and man, all they do is they pat their client on the shoulder and say, "Oh, well, don't worry about it. We'll get him on appeal." It's like, screw appeals. I mean, appeals take, man. Again, you're looking at what the average appeal takes 8 years. What you're going to wait? You're going to sit in prison for another 8 years, man, waiting to resolve your case. You wonder why we have so many exonerees that have done 20, 30 years in prison, and then we're like, "Oops, my bad, you're innocent."
Well, I think
what
it's
I mean?
also, it's funny when lawyers say that because they're not the ones doing the time. They're not the ones.
Right. That's exactly it.
They're not the ones
I've
sitting there in the
seen
jail
my lawyers
cell.
more than once.
Yeah.
It's like, look, at the end of the day, my butt pays the check. Pays the check at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
I mean, however this goes.
You're the one with it all on the line. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Ty, what is in the near future? What can we expect as far as are you going to be doing some lives on your, are you going to be at least just a live update, maybe do something on your phone on a weekly basis, keep everyone apprised? Are you going to, obviously if you get a computer, all this becomes much simpler. But, just kind of give us an idea of how we can connect with you, what we can do, what people can do, where they can go find you. If they have something, because I mean, obviously you've been bouncing, kind of live to live, but we've had some generous people in chat. But if somebody says, "Hey, I want to help Ty Tucker," and you're on their mind, where do they need to go? Facebook page, email.
Well, we do still have the Facebook page, right? But again, I'm turning that one over into the truth behind the treehouse, and going for the treehouse case specifically. Obviously, I mean, I have my personal Facebook page. There's also a Franklin Tucker page, man. It's just another page that I originally got that for business, but it's turned into again being more about the case. But okay, the Pro Se site, the Pro Se Revolution channel, I will be starting to do updates on there. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that one gets squared away so I can go ahead and start doing live updates again. I used to do those weekly updates. A lot of people like those. Made it a lot easier for people to know what was going on. And because it's hard for me to talk to everybody who wants to talk to me, even on the daily basis. I mean, I get a lot of people, man, who want to talk to me, and so it makes it a lot easier when we can do something where I can go ahead and I can talk to everybody all at once. And I remember the prosecutors didn't exactly like me doing those weekly updates, but I mean, as this thing progresses and as we move forward, I mean, I'd like people to keep up with what's going on, where we're at, and how they can help. Because it is important. I mean, all the stuff we've been talking about is important.
So Tammy Highland, I want to make sure, Ty, I don't know if you can double check it to make sure you received it. She sent you an email already. So, and that's the one that wants to help you out with some various things. So, hopefully you get that. She wants to make sure you got that. Well,
we'll make sure between the two of us, I'm sure we'll make sure, man, I get in touch with her. Right, because I mean, I've really, that offer is, that's amazing. And, it would definitely help out a lot. And, once I get back to work once I have a laptop and get back to work. we'd be
Well, I
good.
was going to say, I mean, right now you're in kind of a rut or kind of in a hard spot because you can't really do serious work on a cell phone, obviously. And,
No, I found typing on it sucks.
oh,
You
it
know?
does. So, I mean, I guess people, so are you just kind of going friend to friend, house to house? Is that kind of the situation? Are you basically
No,
homeless
actually, I
again?
have
Is
some
that
friends I've been staying with. Well, I've had some friends I've been staying with here, right?
okay?
But that's the thing is, since I got here and before when I was in South Carolina, my brother, man, he put me up in a was it a weekly hotel or something like that, for a second. But the thing is okay, I mean, it was kind of a rough start coming out of jail. I mean, I ended up in the hospital almost immediately, and I was in there for I don't know about a week and a half. They actually take me by ambulance up to Miami,
Hmm.
and then when I got out of Miami, that's when it really sucked because man, I actually did spend a night on the streets, man. In Miami. But then after that, Lauren, man, got me a hotel and so and then my other brother came down, picked me up, and that was took me out to Lakeland for a second, and then I went from there to South Carolina. But since I got to Portland, I've been staying with some friends here, and look, I'm not trying to be an inconvenience on them as I'm trying to shorten that up as much as I can.
Sure.
But they've been good about it, and I've got my big old boy behind me, to snuggle up with at night, so we're good. Um, but
So tell us, I know you mentioned when we had our first live, you said that there was going to be potentially some surgeries and some things you had to go through medically.
oh yeah,
Are
no,
you are you
that's
missing out on ability to do those things? Where are we at on that? Because that's a concern.
well,
Obviously, you
the
don't
thing
have
is,
health
okay,
insurance right now or anything like that. I mean, so where are we at on that? And
well,
is there
I
anything
just
life
applied for the
threatening or
state
whatever?
insurance. Well, I just applied for state insurance, right? And
Okay, good.
the thing is, but yes, I mean, I am going to have, there's some surgeries I'm going to have. Now, a lot of people don't know I have Crohn's disease. And, they didn't diagnose it right away and it ate holes in my abdomen to the point where I have 5 hernias now.
Mm,
So basically my insides are trying to work their way to the
mm,
outside. The problem occurs, okay, when I went to jail, they weren't treating the Crohn's. And Crohn's is pretty easy to treat. It's not a very hard disease to treat as long as you know you have it. But the thing is if you don't treat it though, what it does is it causes internal bleeding, and that's what happened when I got out. I was bleeding internally, and I lost a lot of blood. I got to a point where they needed to give me transfusions and stuff like that, and I wasn't in very good shape. But I think we talked about this before when I first got out. I mean, the nightmare of okay, yeah, it sucked coming out of jail and going right to the hospital, right? But I mean, could you imagine if I had, if I had gotten out, if I didn't get out when I did, and I
mm.
was still in jail when that happened,
No, I
they
could
would have
not
let me bleed to
imagine.
death.
I
No, they
could
would have
not
let me bleed to
imagine.
death. I mean, that's the way that would have worked.
Yeah.
Um, well, I did have. I mean, look, even when I was in there, I had a kidney stone when I was in there, and I had to, sit in there in the cell and man, wait for it to, pass.
Wow.
Because they're not going to do anything about that. So I mean, look, I mean, I know I make it sound horrible, but it is kind of horrible. And again, look, they're not treating a guy who has leukemia. Do you think they're
Right.
going to care once, about me pissing out some rock? What I mean? No, they're just gonna let you behind, stay behind the door and man, scream or whatever the hell you're gonna do,
Right.
but they're not gonna do anything.
No.
So, if that had happened, if I hadn't got out when I did, and that had happened when I was in jail, I probably wouldn't, probably would have never talked to you again. I
Oh,
don't know,
I'm guarantee it. Yeah.
so, um,
Because you're not going to get adequate medical treatment in a jail. I can assure you that much. Especially not
oh,
for
no, no,
serious stuff like that. It would have been end of story.
no. And
So,
I mean, that's also, part of the death
so
rate they got in my jail,
oh yeah, well yeah, no, 100%. You're right on. You'd have been another one of those statistics.
yeah,
So you're medically you're getting that taken care of. So you're back
yeah.
in Portland now, and essentially at this particular point, um, you're how are you adjusting to being free? I mean, as far as like obviously you're seeing Portland like never before, I would imagine, because in the past
Oh, yeah.
you like would go right to the airport, drive home, you got to be
Yep.
there before your tether tells you you're violating, and then you're in an apartment. So tell us what it's like. What's it like being away from society for 7 years, and now you're seeing this place that you've lived at, but you didn't really live at? I noticed on your Facebook you put up like hey, it's been really cool. So tell us a little bit about that, just on a lighter
Well, I
note,
mean,
a
it
happier
has
note.
been really cool, actually. I mean, I actually have had some time to, go out and explore things. And I mean, I've had to for some things, but it's actually, it's very beautiful here. I mean, it's green, and there's just, I mean, all kinds of mountains and hills, and, I mean, it's a little hilly. I mean, I got to say that, trying to travel around here is a little bit difficult. But I mean, I did things like, okay, I actually went to the mall. I had a friend take me over to the mall, and
Oh,
man,
did you? Okay.
it was kind of weird being around that many people.
I was going to say
I
that's
mean, I'm
got to
not
be a
really
little
used
bit,
to it,
because
but
I remember you telling me that even when you were in that courtroom for the first time after all those years, and you were around with the jury and jury selection, it was overwhelming. I mean, it's got to be a little overwhelming to be back around
yeah.
having so much going on around you when you used to just be kind of in a your own little spot. It was not,
Oh yeah, no, I hear you, and
you
it's
know,
like, it was
it's
like,
like
okay,
sensory
I mean,
overload.
I wouldn't say that, man. I became an agoraphobe. I didn't. That didn't happen. But it is. It's hard. It's I used to be such a free spirit, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I used to travel the country. Just hiking around the country sometimes. So it was like, but I actually told Lauren this, man, when I talked to her. When we got the hotel and everything, I told her, I was like, my days of doing that, I think, are over. Um, I'm too old, and the bodies just can't handle that anymore.
So no,
But
so no
the thing
plans
is
to get
okay,
on a
yeah,
boat anytime soon, though.
no, I mean, not anytime soon. It's like, first off, I got plenty of things I got to handle, man. Besides, man, taking off on a boat.
On the mainland,
But
right?
the thing is, yeah, man, it's like, you got to remember, when I started this, I was 47. Was it 47? No, I think I was either 46 or 40. No, I was 46. Anyway, but the thing is, so I started this when I was 46, and now I'm 53. So my body is not exactly what it used to be. But once I get the surgeries, and get the hernias repaired, I'm in great shape otherwise. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that surprised me about being in the hospital is, okay, because I had been working out while I was in jail. And it's like, I can't do anything with the stomach, but the legs and the arms, work those out. So I was pretty buff coming out of jail, other than the stomach, but that's going to require surgery to fix. I mean, I can't do anything about that without surgery. So, but the thing is, yeah, it's like with people, it's still, I'm still socially awkward. Let's put it that way. I'm not used to dealing with people. I'm not, at least, man, not a bunch of people all at once. And, it's hard for me. It's like, I was alone for a long time, and it's like, not that I wasn't used to being alone prior to that, but it was different this time. That apartment, I actually had created my own little world in there, kind of, and yeah, it wasn't the same as when you walked out the door, so that's why, there's a lot of people who wanted to come over there and, man, check it out and then hang out. I mean, I told you, people shot music videos there. They would do all kinds of things, man, over there.
Well, you had a lot of art on the
Because, man, it
walls
was
and
so
stuff,
different.
correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, all that art on the walls. I mean, I did a lot of the putting up the walls as far as it went, but I mean, that was community artwork, right? I mean, kind of. The whole idea was that anybody who came over, because originally it was just one wall, right?
Right.
And I was going to have people just, sign the wall or whatever. But then, it ended up, being the entire apartment. And yes, I mean, anybody who wanted to come over and paint or, man, draw on the walls, or, do their artwork on the walls. The only rule was, don't cover up other people's artwork.
Right. Right.
And it made it a really interesting piece because, okay, at that point, I don't even know what it's going to look like in the end. You know what I
Right.
mean? Unfortunately, don't get me wrong, and some of that I know got saved. I know some of that got saved. That's a good thing. Because I mean, there was a lot of time and effort put into the whole thing by not just me, but by a whole bunch of people. So it was like, and it was cool
Now,
when I lived there.
Did you guys put something up on the wall that was like able to be painted on, or was that physically done on the wall of the apartment?
No. That's why. Okay. When I did that, first off, I put plastic down on the
Okay.
walls. And then
Okay.
I went ahead and put, some of it, man. I mean, it was all different materials, but then I put up, different things where it made it look like brick walls or whatever,
Right.
to
Yeah,
do
I saw
graffiti
that.
on.
So
And
people were actually able to take that down and preserve what the art
exactly,
that was. Oh, that's awesome.
yep, exactly. And actually, one of the things we had thought about doing is taking one of those and, doing kind of like I don't know, some kind of drive with that man and making it so that, basically, like a contest almost, I mean.
Yeah.
Where man, that way, because man, again, wherever I go next is not going to be the same as far as that place goes.
Right.
There are some friends that I'm going to pass off some of those to because, again, they helped build the place. They helped to make it. But yes, it was definitely a unique, environment. It was definitely a special. It's one of my favorite. What's weird is it was a cell, and for all intents and purposes, it was a cell.
Right.
Just a nicer cell than jail.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
the thing is, but it became one of my favorite places I've ever lived. I mean, I love that place. Unfortunately, man, I don't know how much of it is left. I know that there was some of it saved though. So hopefully, I'll get to see, what was saved and, I'll get to make sure that, man, I distribute it to people, man, I'm going to keep at least one piece for my next place, but, so we'll see. But yeah, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of artwork in there and there's like a lot put into it. So,
Well,
um,
that's well, I mean, like, I always thought it looked really interesting when you were doing your lives and the way it looked behind you. I thought it was a very cool looking spot, like deal going on there. And I
oh, yeah.
remember there was also a video that you did. I think where someone had coming right before you went to trial last time, and it gave a pretty good perspective on it. It looked neat. It looked like it was a pretty
Oh,
neat
yeah.
little
Well,
deal.
there's,
A lot of
man, some
effort.
stuff. Yeah, there's I mean, there's a bunch of videos, man. Like I said, there was music videos that were done in there.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I would just showed somebody I had a video of these two kids, man, who are kind of up and comers as far as the rap scene, and they were over there, man. They like to come over there and do their music over there, and I
Mm-hmm.
had them freestyling, but the place was kind of unique too because it had a few different features that most people, unless you actually saw it, wouldn't realize. But okay, there were black lights that went around the entire top of it, right? And when you turned out the lights and changed the lighting, all the artwork would change, right? Like okay, it would different pieces would all of a sudden turn into different things.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool as far as that went. It was a whole perception. It was based on the ideas of perception.
Nice.
But the other thing was it also had sound lights that went out throughout the entire house.
Oh, really?
So
Oh, that's really
yeah,
cool.
so I mean, basically, it had its own heartbeat, so to speak, right? Because
No
okay,
kidding.
yeah, like okay, if I was getting angry or something like that, and I'm rattling off and like the lights would just be going bam, 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 man. But but if you're talking normal like we are now,
Right.
I mean, certain lights will go off and react, some of them won't, but it had its own personality and it would react to whatever was going on, which made it kind of interesting, and it made it it made it kind of special because yeah, man, I mean the house definitely reacted to whoever was there. You know what I mean?
So
So
it almost
for
had its
me,
own. It sounds like it almost had a mind of its own, almost like just
kind
kind of a
of. I mean,
personality of
it
its
gave it.
own.
Yeah, it was almost like it made it almost into a living thing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, that's really
Which
cool.
which again, when you're spending a lot of time alone,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool when your house man is alive like that. So.
So tell us, Ty, one thing. I want to know what so far has been your what when you got out and you were able to eat free. What have you gone to? Was there a
Oh,
restaurant you wanted to go to particularly that you want to get a bite to eat at and eat a particular food after being in jail for 7 months? And what
Well,
was it?
you know,
Or have you
I,
gotten there yet?
I actually, okay. And I'm kind of, man, going in here just so I can get a charger because, man, my phone's
Sure.
getting ready to die.
Yeah, sure.
But, okay. So there wasn't really anything specific like that, but okay. Um, I seen commercials when I was in jail, right? And they have, obviously they have these food commercials that come up or whatever. And man, there was a bunch of stuff that, man, after you see it a bunch of times, man, yeah, you're like, okay, I can't wait to, man, try that, or I can't,
That's right. That's right.
I'd love to try that, that kind of thing. Which I did try some of them. I actually, did. I tried out the new Reese's cups that have the liquid, liquid chocolate in them.
Uh-huh.
Was it the fried pickle Whopper? That
The
was one of
fried
them.
pickled. Okay. All right.
I tried a fried pickle Whopper, so that was
Yeah.
one of them.
So when you got out of jail, was there, did everything taste better because you'd been deprived of anything but obviously your commissary and
Oh
whatever
yeah,
the jail was
oh
cooking?
yeah,
I mean, it's got to be like almost
oh
like
yeah.
you're just going out and everything's just tasting like, I mean,
Oh yeah, everything, man. I mean, all of a sudden, man,
exploding.
look.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think, man, when you're deprived of stuff like that,
Yeah.
and man, there you're eating straight up garbage. I mean, it's like everything's soy. It's, man, it's pretty much garbage. I mean, even the commissary stuff is not really good for you.
Well, I was going to say, no, it's just junk food really that
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
like
yeah,
eating on.
look, everything's based on top ramen in jail.
Yeah.
So thing is,
High
man,
in
so yeah, and
sodium.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, you eat that stuff long enough. I mean, but man, I mean, look, I mean, hell, to grab a steak. Oh yeah, grab
Well, I was
even
going to say,
chicken
have you
and
had a steak
oh
yet?
yeah,
Have you been able to have a steak and eat
oh
good,
yeah, yeah,
good solid?
oh yeah. I've
Yeah,
had that a few times now.
good. I was going to say, yeah, there's nothing like
So,
having a nice big juicy steak, and you're like, man,
well, and I'll tell you, man. Okay, I had a serious craving for pizza.
ah,
That was a big one because, man,
yeah.
they kept showing these damn Domino's commercials, man, on TV, and I'm just like, man, that looks good, like. So,
Listen. We see all these things on YouTube and everything, right? And I've heard that they've got that in these jails, people got cell phones and secret cell phones, and they're door dashing food in. Did you ever
no,
witness
no.
anything like that?
No,
No.
no, but I'll tell you this, man. To be honest with you, man, I did try and bribe a guard and trying to bring me in a steak dinner
Trying to
when
get you a
when I
steak
was there
dinner.
when I was there the first time. I did try to do it. I was like, I go up to him. I'm like, man, look, all you gotta do is take one bite out of it, throw it in the trash, man.
That's right. And you got the rest,
Because,
right?
I'll go ahead and get it. We'll be good,
uh,
right? But the thing is, man, no, he wasn't going for it. But the thing
yeah.
was, it's like, and man, look, I was part kidding about that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, no, look, cell phones are definitely contraband.
Mm.
And the idea that you're going to order any kind of food and have it brought in,
Yeah,
no, the
that's
only
what I
way you would
thought.
open
I said
that,
that sounds so outlandish to me that's happening.
yeah,
Of course,
no, no,
I'm
that'll never
calling
happen. I mean, the
BS
only way that happens is if you can get a guard to bring it in for you.
and get a guard to be willing
And
to
then, and
accept
again,
delivery.
and same thing that guard told me, man, oh no, no, it ain't worth losing my job. And I'm like,
That's
yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
know, I
Well,
get it.
not
You
only
know what I'm
losing his
saying?
job, but he might end up in there with you guys because
Well,
of
yeah,
bringing
I mean,
contraband
he
in.
could, I mean, and that thing, he definitely could.
Yeah.
So it's like, now, do other kinds of contraband come in? Sure. I mean,
Right.
contraband comes in all the time.
Right.
But let me tell you, you don't want to smoke a cigarette in jail though, because, man, that shit sucks. Um,
Oh, does it really?
you know, oh yeah, because, man, I mean, look, where they're getting the cigarettes from, man, you never know. And, man, it's like, okay, they roll them up into pinners, and, man, you gotta, try and get away with it out on the yard if you're going to get away
So
with
did
it.
you
What I don't,
now? Did you?
what I
Did
don't
you?
understand is why they don't put vapes in there.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, because and let you order it through commissary. I mean, that would be a huge moneymaker.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
they'd make a fortune if if they put vapes in the jail. People be
Mhm.
ordering them all the
So,
time.
did you stop
You know?
smoking when you went to jail, or did you?
Oh yeah, no, no, I didn't have a choice. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it, man. It's like when you go in, stuff like that, man. No,
yeah,
it's like, and man, they've made it incredibly hard, man, to do any of that shit anymore.
yeah. Gotcha.
Because I mean, even my mail, anybody who sent mail to me, anybody who actually sent mail to me, and I'm sorry if I didn't get your letter because, man,
Hmm.
look, even the letters I got, took about a month for me after, man, you sent it. Took about a month for me to get it. If I
Wow.
did get it. But they took them and they sent them to Maryland and they scan them in, right? Well, they do that for a couple reasons. I mean, they do it to keep contraband from coming in, but they also do it because now they also have a record of what they can go back and look at everything that, man, you're talking about again, right? Which again makes it very difficult to coordinate a defense, man. When, man, yes, the prosecution knows everything you're doing. So it's like, it made it a little bit, man, more challenging that way. But the thing is yeah, any of that, the idea you're going to get any of that kind of stuff in jail, no.
Now
The
the
only way that
tablet
you can help.
they give you, what does it have on it? Does it have the ability to watch things on it? Does it have games? Does it have anything at
Oh yeah,
all?
no, it has that stuff. It
Is it
definitely
like an
has that
Amazon
stuff.
tablet, or is it an actual Android tablet, or what's it?
Well, yeah, it's an Android tablet, and everything goes through it now. Your mail,
Okay.
again, the law library was on it. So I'd pull up Westlaw on it. But the thing is, you also don't have access to it all the time, right?
Ah,
And they don't have enough tablets for all the prisoners,
oh
right?
my God.
So luckily being pro se, I got first dibs on tablets, man, because, man, I was pro se, and because I needed to be able to access Westlaw.
Well, does that cause
But
problems with the prisoners? With it being
oh hell yeah,
within, I was
hell
gonna say
yeah,
that's got to be
I
a
mean.
tension point. You know,
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, man. People get pissed off when they don't get one.
like
So it's like, and then not only that, I mean, when they would open up the doors, because okay, you got to figure the dorm I was in max security, right?
right.
So you have a dorm of it's like 100 prisoners, and each one of the cells holds 2 prisoners, man, and you're behind a steel door when
Mhm.
you're not out in the day room, and you're not out where you can watch TV or work out or go to the yard, because we had our own separate yard, that stuff. Um, but as soon as they would open those doors, and people would come flying out of there, man. Running to man and go and get in line for the tablet.
Oh, so it was like a first
So
come first serve situation where you got to go get in
yeah,
line,
exactly.
and
Yep,
so I mean, my God,
yep.
that's open for fights and pushing and everything else. I mean, I can only
Well, and not
imagine.
only that, then you also have guys going up and getting in line, man, grabbing a tablet just so
Yeah.
they could sell it to somebody else. You know
Oh,
what I
geez.
mean? So I
And,
mean, it became, it's like, that
and
whole
then
thing.
how long did you get? You got the tablet for what? A couple hours, then you got to hand them all back in, and then next day,
Yep.
same thing
Yep.
all over again.
Yep, exactly. I mean, yeah. So you're never allowed to keep the tablet, and
Wow.
like I couldn't keep it overnight or anything like that. You
Wow.
just gotta, you gotta go and do your work on Westlaw, man, in those couple hours, and then and
So you
then
have to do your
make sure
work.
to take
And
good
how big
notes.
is the tablet? It's like a little 7-inch tablet, right? It's not like some big
Yeah,
10
no,
incher. Or,
it's no, it's not a huge one. I mean, it's like probably twice the size of my cell phone, something like that. I
so
don't
you're
know.
supposed to do your so you were supposed to do all your legal research on a little tablet as a pro
Yeah.
se defendant.
Yeah,
Wow.
and not only that, they also didn't. Okay, they didn't
So
pay
when you
for all
find
the.
case law, how do you save it, or do you just have to? Do you just have to like? Do you have a
I have
file
to
that
write
you're
it. I have to
saving?
write it down. Yep, write it down.
Oh my
So I actually
God.
had to copy the case law, man, and write it down. Now I could. They allowed me 10 pages per month. I think it was 10 pages per month, where I could have them go ahead and print off the case law.
Yeah, but oh my
But
God.
that was it.
So how does that
So
not
10 pages
violate?
per
Since
month.
you're the pro se defendant, right, and you're the lawyer,
Right.
how does that not
Right.
violate? You should have unlimited access to all of that because,
I would agree. And man, not
and
only that,
then
I think
bill you at the end. I mean, if you're somebody who has resources, then at the end of your case, if you lose the case, they can add it to your court costs. But
right.
they're not limiting Mansfield to 10 pages a month. They're not limiting
No,
Alvarez to 10 pages a month. But yet you're
no. I mean,
sitting there with a damn
well,
mini golf pen. I mean,
yep.
wow.
And don't get me wrong, I actually had a motion, man, to argue all that, right? Because
Mm,
okay, and I actually, okay, how this works, man. If you're going to go ahead and get
yeah,
a court order, you have to work through all your grievances first,
sure,
right? So
sure.
I actually made grievances all the way up to the sheriff, about the stuff that I needed, that I know that, man, they can provide, but they were refusing to provide,
Mm,
and that does deny you your due process rights, because okay,
absolutely, it does.
even equal access to the court docket. Like, I don't know when they're filing things. I had to go have people on the outside tell me when they filed something,
Wow.
right? So I mean, and as far as, okay, the snail mail, using snail mail to go ahead and mail in motions. That's why, and I mean, look, because if something's time sensitive, If it has to be in within 10 days, you better have that motion, man, done in the mail. Oh, but you got to copy it, and taking it, copying it takes a day because, man, they have to, at least a day, because sometimes I didn't have copies come back for like 4 days. But I mean, so you got to send that, to programs, they copy it, whatever. But I mean, the thing is, man, so now, man, it takes it could take 2 weeks from the day we get out of that hearing for me to get a motion to them. So that becomes problematic. Instead of just doing the Florida e-file system, which, man, the Supreme Court in Florida mandated all lawyers to use, right? But they don't. But the only exception is for prisoners. And I don't think that should be an exception anymore. I think, really realistically, that jails and prisons both need to be able to provide access to a computer, access to email, and into the court system, right?
Well, have you reached out to any legislators down in Florida to try to say, hey, like, let's compose a pro se bill that says we need to improve access to these things? And I mean, it could help. You could even help regular prisoners have access to. Because think about the gap of information when these prisoners are sitting there relying on their PD. But if you have tablets, why could they not allow you to access the docket that I can see and the whole world can see? And that should be at a very minimum.
If you can give me access to online movie services and online games and all that other stuff, but you can't give me access to the court system, I mean, come on.
That's ridiculous. That's what I mean. Like, that's crazy.
Even that idea of handwriting motions. I mean, look, they have laptops there that, man, are assigned at the jail. They do have laptops. They just, man, they won't allow, prisoners to use them except if they need to, view video or, listen to audio from their case. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing. That's the only reason they'll allow you, man, to access to one of those laptops. But, as far as, just using, some word processing program, I don't care, Word, whatever, but the thing is, the idea that, man, you're in there handwriting your motions with a golf pencil, and, man, you think, again, you're trying, it's one thing to say, because it makes it even worse, because, a pro se defendant is definitely at a disadvantage as far as legal skills and knowledge, right?
Yep.
That's just innate, right? You're going to be behind the time, you're going to have a disadvantage there. You're also going to have a disadvantage that you're locked up, right? There's lawyers that you can't do anything about. Lawyers are going to be able to do things, man, out there that you can't. However, to tie your hands, to tie a pro se's hands behind his back even further by denying him simple things, simple supplies that, man, again, they can provide. It's like, okay, no, that just doesn't even make sense. You're, literally just trying to make it so that a pro se is going to fail. You know what I mean?
That's what they're doing. I mean, they're literally in they're setting you up so that the pressure you into saying you got to go take a public defender, which gets in the way of your right to adequate counsel, especially if you feel like you could do it better yourself.
Because I mean, again, a public defender. We already talked about that. What's a public defender going to do for me? Nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, a public defender in my case, shit. They were dreaming I'd take a public defender just so they could railroad me.
Yep.
But the thing is, I mean, it's a, look, a pro se defendant, man, and most people are, especially for just simple cases, are quite capable of taking care of their own cases, right? They don't need a lawyer to do it, man. I mean, look, if you're in there for even a DUI, you know what I'm saying? As long as you didn't hit anything, anything or anybody, I'm sure you could probably handle that on your own. There's all kinds of cases that people are in there for trespassing or open containers or any of that other kind of crap that, man, they could do on their own all day, but they end up sitting in there for, a year on an open container because they're waiting for a public defender, and then again, not trying to talk too much shit about them because, they've got a lot of cases. I get that, but they would have a lot less cases if you had these people who could handle their own cases going ahead and doing it, make it so they can do it. It's not, So, besides the books that I have coming out, the 2 books that I have written, one of the things I did, and I think I told you about this before, is when I was in jail, as part of helping these people, man, I started all my motions, and it's not even just my motions, but I started taking like common motions, stuff like that. Demands for discovery, or there's all kinds of different ones, man. Notices and stuff like that. And I started to go ahead and make fill in the blank motions, right? Just like they have for family court. Why can they do it for family court, but they can't do it for criminal court, right?
Right.
Where they make motions that are just fill in the blanks, right? So that the average person, who doesn't have the same legal, again, doesn't understand the Latin we were talking about and the Old English and all that crap, or gets intimidated by it. But they know where to put their name, and they know where to put the date, and they know what it's supposed to do, right? So the thing is okay, make these motions so that other inmates could use them, right? And so that's what I did. And man, that's when I told you about the whole jailhouse Jesus trip, man, where, all of a sudden my motions, man, started making their way into all the courtrooms, and they were getting pissed off about that. But the thing is, I plan on now that I'm out, is I'm going to do the same thing, only it's going to be a workbook, and I'm going to start with Florida, right? Because I know Florida's law is better than most places, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do a book of motions, and documents that are for pro se people who want to go pro se, right? So they have these templates. Even the lawyers, hell, I'll tell you this, and even the state attorney's office and the public defender and all the lawyers out there use templates for their motions.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to make it so that
100%.
I want to make these workbooks so that they can go into jail, go into the prisons, and man, yes, now you have templates too. So you don't have to worry about these things.
Yep.
You don't have to spend hours and hours wasting your time, man, handwriting a motion. That man, again, you just fill in the blanks. So yeah, that's another thing I'll be working on. But I'll do Florida first, I figure, and then try and work that out to all 50 states eventually.
Well, I think what you would want to do, Ty, is to tie this in again. I know this is bigger picture way down the road once you get everything lined up for yourself. But to me, I think a tie-in would be is set this up on a website that's accessible to where these guys could pull up, and then go in and fight for the pro se bill that says they have access to online, access to computers at the local jail. If you're going to go pro se,
no, I definitely will be.
And then they would be able to go right into your suite of documents. Boom. And get that in, and work with. You've got, in that regard, you would be working with legislators and people that would potentially. I'm sure those watchdog groups that you were talking about.
I actually did have the same idea as far as that went. As far as fighting for pro se rights. Because look, if I'm going to encourage people to go pro se, which is exactly what I'm doing on that Pro Se Revolution, that channel, is yes, I'm encouraging people to go pro se more often, and trying to help them to do it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I definitely plan on getting with legislators and trying to even out the playing field here. I mean, look, you have a constitutional right to do it, but then they do everything they can to try and hamper your ability doing it. And it's like, again, you're already at a disadvantage, I'm saying, in some ways, right? Because I mean, look, going pro se has its advantages, it has its disadvantages, like anything else, right? But in order to cut down on on some very obvious and very easy things that they could fix, to make it, man, at least more fair, well, I'd be about talking to legislators about that too, and then doing, I agree with you. It would have to be some kind of like Bill of Rights, or some kind of rules, man, that go along with, man, pro se defendants.
And then eventually you get one state to do it, and you could start moving into other states. But you got to connect with the networks like these. I think these poverty law groups and stuff like that, because that's who they're going to have the connections with, the politicians that it's their passion in life to do these things, and then you can go get them involved. Now on the books, I'm assuming these books were handwritten, so you're needing to get these books.
That's why they're not out. I need to type them in.
No, here's what I was going to tell you. Even if you don't, you need to potentially look, once you get your situation settled. Even if you're just using your phone, they now have apps, or an app potentially, and this is what Jody was talking about, because she was showing, turn me on to this, but they have an app. It's called hold on, let me see what it's called. Cider. And what it does is you can actually, if you already have those books written, you can read those books into that app and it will put it on paper. And then, of course, we
Oh,
got
and
all
type
the
it out for
AI
you.
technology. It'll automatically professionally correct it, because obviously when you're reading it on paper, it's not going to be great. Sometimes there might be things
Right.
missed out, but it'll auto punctuate it, and then you've got it all there. And all you've got to go in is just correct it and make sure it's all right. As opposed to you having to sit there and type it all in, you could sit there and, you know, over the course of a couple of days, read what you have written in there. And then even if you're writing other
Yeah.
books, it's how people are writing books now, with the assistance of being able to
Yeah.
sit there and speak the book out and then put it into the AI. And you can do all of it for a couple of dollars a month, getting access to the app once you get these things up and running. So that can help you get faster, and then you can go self-publish on Amazon, and that'll
Well, yeah,
get
and
you
that's
access.
exactly okay. That's what I had planned on doing to begin with, as
Yeah.
far as the self-publishing part. And
But you can get here a lot
I've tried
faster than you
dictating
think.
into. Well, I've definitely tried dictating into other software before, and unfortunately, I have quite the accent, so it has a tendency to make a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the thing is I don't know if it'll work or not. But thing is, look, I also know
Well,
there's
Todd, what
applications out there. Well,
I
there's
agree with
applications
you.
where you can scan it,
Yeah. Well, I
but
also, yes, you can do that too. Well, I will just tell you this, and this is literally in the time that since you went away till now, the whole landscape has changed because of Apple AI and Google
oh
Gemini
yeah,
and the AI that's
oh
come
yeah,
out. So in the old
yeah.
days, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But what it will let you do is put it on page, and then you can literally highlight that entire deal, and it will proofread it for you. And then
Yeah.
you will
Oh, yeah.
have the framework of it inside a computer. Maybe it's 150 pages, 200 pages, and then you could sit there and go, okay, instead of you having to write everything from scratch, it's just taking time to read it, and now you're just proofreading it, as opposed to I got to sit here and type it in and do all that. And you might be able to, by reading it
Well, and
in, do it faster.
yeah, I mean, I used some of that when, but even before I went to jail, because I was using the AI from Microsoft. Was it I forget? Oh, Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was using that quite a bit, and I was
Yep.
using that to help me write my motions, helping me find case law.
Yep.
There's a bunch of things, and that's actually one of the things that's in the book about the use of AI as far as a pro se defendant goes.
Yep.
Because yeah, I mean, okay, you don't really need standby counsel necessarily anymore, right? If you
Right.
have AI, you have literally you have a lawyer sitting next to you on your laptop right next, right in front of you anyway, right? So I mean, it's like, okay, so you don't even necessarily need standby counsel anymore. Even though I still think that's the best defense. I really do, is
Right.
a pro se defendant with a standby counsel. But remember, I wasn't allowed to have standby counsel. So man, that's where that problem comes in. But the thing is okay. So the other thing, I think I talked to you about this. One of the things I was looking at before I went to jail, and this is something I am still interested in pursuing, is okay, with that AI, I was going to have somebody go and talk to a technician at Microsoft, right? Talk to Microsoft and get a technician, and I had planned on having the technician come down and certify AI, the AI as an expert in different fields, right? Whether it be the read technique or homicide investigation or anything where it doesn't have to look at actual evidence, right? It doesn't have to examine a piece of physical evidence. But go ahead and for standard procedures and practices, and how this, what they do for this, what they do for that, those kind of things. Yeah, if I could get the technician to go ahead and certify AI as an expert, I can actually put an AI on the stand as an expert witness.
Oh,
That's the only
okay.
thing that stops it. The only thing that stops it is it needs to be you need to it has to be a certified expert. That's what the law
Yep.
says,
Yep.
right? Well, okay, you have the technician explain to the judge how it's an expert and how and it knows what it knows and all that other stuff, and then have the judge go ahead and rule it a certified expert.
Yep.
Once it's a certified
I
expert,
think.
then you can use it as an expert. Yeah, you can use it as an expert witness. But I mean,
Yep.
think of what that would do for people. I mean, you're
Oh,
talking
it'll
about
be
now.
amazing.
Yeah, you have free expert witnesses, man. Because I mean that program, was it Copilot comes free with their browser. So I mean that would create a situation where people who are low income could all of a sudden afford expert witnesses.
And
Because I
now
mean,
Ty, in the summer they rolled out a Copilot is now baked into the Windows computers themselves, and it's a whole nother reconfigured engine that's even better than just what you were getting in the browser. That you can do all that stuff on. I think the biggest thing that you got to be careful of with AI, and a lawyer learned this, is I don't know if you've ever heard about this case, but it was down in Virginia. A lawyer went and filed this. He was involved in really big litigation, like multi hundreds of millions of dollars were on the line, and he files this
right?
motion, right? Sends it to the judge's chambers. Now he doesn't bother to cross check it. The motion was written
Oh
by
yeah, you
AI.
got to do that. Now you got
Now
to do that.
it goes to the judge, and the case cites AI actually made up, and I caught AI doing this because I was looking up some legal issues, and it actually cited cases. I mean, they looked completely real. And of course, the judge gets this, and of course, he's going to start looking up these cases because they want to rely on them. Didn't exist.
Oh,
This
it lied about the cases.
It lied about the cases, but this attorney's facing disbarment now, and was held in contempt because he filed it as an actual
Well,
document.
and look, I mean, I've been saying that about the people who use them, man, to write their articles for a long time.
Yep.
Because I mean, I don't know how many times, man, I can see an article that's obviously written by AI, right, where they make libelous statements. I mean, hell, half the press out there right now, I could sue, man. I could sue for saying that I pled
Yep.
guilty,
Yep.
right? There's a bunch of them out there, man, that have done it, including Court TV. They
Yep.
still have stuff up there that says I pled guilty. And I even made them aware of that, what I
Now,
mean? And they
speaking
pulled
of
some
Court
of it, but
TV,
I'd still find some.
you just triggered something in my brain. I apologize for interrupting. Have you
No,
heard
it's
from
okay.
Vinny Politan? And where do we
Kind
stand
of,
on that?
kind of. I actually, I joined his group,
Okay.
his Facebook group, and I went on there, and I've been talking to some people on there. But he followed me on Twitter or something like that just the other day. So I
Okay.
mean, and I made him, very aware that I'd love to talk to Vinny, and that, man, how much of a fan I am of his, because okay, Vinny for me represents a lot for me, because okay, when I first went into trial, and Vinny, like everybody else, I mean, everybody, just thought I was going to crash and burn. They thought, here comes another Darnell Brooks, can't
Yep.
wait for this guy, can't wait to watch how, crazy this one gets, all that other stuff. But Vinny actually gave me props, from the very first day. And he was the first person to realize some of the advantages that I had already considered in making my decision. Right. And a big one was, man, that the jury would actually get to hear the story coming from me the entire time. Because I didn't actually plan on taking the stand. I took the stand because, man, Judge Jones wiped out my defense. You know, so I mean, it was like, okay, I only had Paul at that point. It's like, okay, well, if you're, and they were also planning on putting in statements from me hearsay, right? I was like, well, if you're going to put in, my statements hearsay, I might as well take the stand, right? So anyway, so that was a last minute decision. I made that decision in like 15 minutes. So the thing is, but realistically, no, I had not planned on taking the stand. I had planned on putting on my witnesses and putting on my case that way. But due to the situation, I had to change plans. But the thing is, yeah, it's, it's, you know, yeah. Vinny was, man, the first person to actually realize some of the benefits, man, that I had seen going pro se. And one of them is, look, every jury, I don't care who it is, man, they all want to hear it from the defendant. Your lawyer
Yep.
can get up there and talk all day, right? But that's not who the jury really wants to hear, right? They want to hear it from the person. They want to be able to judge whether or not they think they're lying, whether or not they think they're telling the truth, and yeah, I mean, I understand why lawyers don't put their clients on the stand, because they're afraid that the prosecution's going to twist them up, make them look guilty even if they're not, I mean, because they do that. Look, Mansfield tried his tricks with me too. How many times did I have to correct him when, he say stuff?
That's right.
But the thing is, it's like, okay, that's it. And I mean, they're afraid of that. And I get that, but man, at the same time, it does a disservice to your client in a sense, man, just having them sit there at the table looking guilty the whole time, So, because, man, look, everybody, man, thinks you're guilty, man, when you're walking in there. That's just a reality. That's how people think.
That's true.
But the bottom line is, man, okay, but as a pro se defendant, Vinny realized that he's like, okay, well, they get to hear his side of the story from him the entire time, and you don't get cross-examined by the prosecution. So there's no chance to twist you up, So, I mean, so they actually get to hear it from the person like they want to, and they get to judge whether or not they think I'm lying. And yeah, they go ahead, man, they can go ahead and make their decision based on that. But I mean, but it is an advantage. It's one he noticed the very first day. The other thing, he also gave me a lot of props that day because, man, he was like, he's not a lawyer, but kind of sounds like a lawyer. He goes up to, in the panel, and man, he goes up to his panel, and man, I'd never watched his show before, right? And I goes up to his panel and asks them, and they're all giving me like 9 out of 10. It's like, and the funny thing is that day, look, I had no idea what witnesses they were pulling that day. They didn't give me a witness list for that day, right? So I had no idea what witnesses they were actually pulling. So when I went and did my cross examinations, I had to do that off the top of my head, man, with what I knew from the case, right? Which again was a huge advantage because look, I know the case better than they do, right? That's so right. Man, you're not going to surprise me with anything, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the way it works. But I mean, the questioning, man, went fairly well just because, man, yeah. I knew what each person had done. I knew what each person, man's role in it was, what they said, what they did, right? So it made it easier to ask questions. But Vinny, the thing is Vinny, I have a lot of respect for Vinny. I mean, he is one of the lawyers that called it out when they lied to the jury at the end of the trial. When they did their close and they tried lying to the jury, he's actually called that out on his show. And he's like, lying to the jury. I'm not comfortable with this,
To me, that's why that stood out as one of the most.
Well, and you shouldn't be comfortable with that. No. I mean, nobody should be comfortable with that. I mean, look, if you have to lie to win your case, kind of tells you a lot about, man, what's going on with that case. Right. I mean, as a prosecutor, you should never have to lie to win your case. I get defendants do it. But
Yeah. So,
you hit the wrong button there?
Yeah, I hit the wrong button here. Hold on a second here.
But anyway, yes, I would love to talk to Vinny. And really, I'd love to, man, what I'd really love to do is see if I could get Vinny, man, to go ahead, man, do his show, that show Investigates he does, and have him go down there to Monroe County and see what, man, see what he, what he thinks.
So I have something here, Ty.
Okay.
Because I realized that today, actually, what we're talking on right now, it's today, but tomorrow is the date because today is the 10th, if I'm not mistaken, of January. It's funny you and I had this sit down because this is what I was doing a year ago. So I want you to assess.
This is the first day.
My intro. This was my intro to your case. I would have never thought in a million years you and I'd be sitting here a year later, talking and going over everything. So I wanted to play this as kind of a final segment and get your assessment. And again, you can hear where I was at and what my understanding was, and I look much younger there too as well.
Because he was released in 2019 on bail after the state attorney was allegations of ethics violations were made.
Go back to the beginning. All right, here we go. So there's the picture. There's no fancy intro, no justice is a process.
All right, guys. So we are back. We are live. We are watching the start. We're going to be watching day one. The trial's already started for today, but we're going to be picking it up from the beginning, of course, and getting caught up. But we're going to be watching a trial out of Florida today. This is the trial of Franklin Tyrone Tucker, known as the Treehouse murder trial. One of these cases that began back in 2017, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on the dates there. Began back in 2017. Quite interesting case. The defendant is out on bail because he was released in 2019 on bail after the state attorney was allegations of ethics violations were made. He was eventually given a $2 million bond, to which a CrossFit millionaire, a woman that was a founder of CrossFit, and I guess her husband or previous husband was, she got like $20 million selling stock. She got in a divorce. And the defendant and her were friends in high school. They fell in love while he was incarcerated, awaiting trial. She eventually believed in his innocence, and she posted his $2 million bond and got him out of prison. Their relationship unfortunately didn't last. They got a divorce, and in 2022, the bond agreement was for 3 years. She was released out of it. He's now free on $75,000 bond, which he was able to put up. He's still out on bond today, and interestingly enough, he is representing himself. So, and we say the lawyer that represents the lawyer that represents himself as a fool for a client and a fool for an attorney as well, and both are true in this case. We'll see if he can beat the state of Florida in this case. There apparently is, obviously, given the fact that he went from being on a no bail hold, various ethics violations, various issues, where it looks like it was a lot of the case is based upon an alleged confession he made while incarcerated, and there was problems and issues surrounding that, from what I can tell. I believe it's going to be an interesting case. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. So without further ado, with that background, let's jump into the courtroom here and start watching justice unfold. And let's jump in there right now. So there it is, Ty. That was that was what I was doing this day last year. That was my assessment of the case. Boy, did I understate how interesting this case was going to become. I definitely
you did me better than Law and Crime did. Law and Crime, man. Yeah. Oh man, they made me sound horrible.
Yeah, well, I was trying. Like I said, I had I was relying a lot on what was in the press. Obviously, I had a few things way wrong. Number one, that you were divorced at the time, which I later, as I progressed, and then I thought there was going to be, I thought there was going to be we were going to be dealing with a jailhouse confession. That's what I thought we were going to be. That was going to be a part of the case. I had no idea. Of course, as I dug in, I found out that there was a lot more to this thing, and definitely. You very much impressed me because, as you can see, just like you said, I was expecting this was going to be more of like, hey, let's watch this thing and it's going to be more entertainment. And then, boy, was I wrong, So, but that's where we were
I don't know. It's been pretty entertaining for most people.
Oh, no, it was definitely entertaining, but you did a heck of a job. I mean, you ended up rising above all expectations of everyone that was sitting there getting ready to watch this. And, oh boy, what a ride we were going to have. But I'm glad that we're sitting here with you free right now. Of course, I was hoping you were going to get a not guilty and make it simple. But, of course, nothing's ever simple,
No, nothing's ever simple, especially when you're dealing with, when you're dealing with the court system.
Yep.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
So the whole phrase, well, this is what I think should happen, even lawyers say that shit. Well, this is what should happen, So, but yeah, you get used to it after a little while.
So how did you feel, man, a year out from where you were at standing last year to today? I know you've had a lot of things go up and down, but I mean, you got to feel like, hey, you're on the path to getting things lined up. I know it seems a little bit overwhelming, I'm sure, right now, but.
Yeah, look, this thing, I don't ever really concentrate, sometimes it does get overwhelming, I guess, but it's all, look, most of the time I'm just concentrating on what I need to do.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. It's like, okay, I don't try and waste time, as far as it goes. Hell, that's one of the things I tried to talk to Lauren about as far as this divorce. It's like, okay, this is just a waste of time and wasting everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
When the effort could be put towards something else. But the bottom line is yeah, it's at a point where I just don't consider that stuff most of the time. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm too busy, man, trying to do the things to worry about, man, the weight of them most of the time. But getting there, at least, man,
Absolutely.
I was actually thinking this morning. I was like, well, if I can go ahead and I can take care of all I took care of, man, as far as, dealing with the case while I was in jail with the golf pencil and, handwriting the motions and all that shit. And I still, man, get that done and get it done. I'm sure I can get the things I'm trying to accomplish now done. This is
Absolutely.
easy by comparison,
Oh, absolutely.
so it doesn't, I don't really sweat the small stuff too much.
Well, I guess we're going to wrap it up, I think, here, but hopefully we can connect. I mean, like, I told you, anytime you want to come on, anytime you want an update, you let me
Oh yeah.
know, and
Well, I mean,
we'll go on.
let's
Hopefully we can
definitely
get
plan on
together in a
working on
couple of
something for that
weeks
role.
and update
Yeah.
everybody. And definitely, as soon as you get, if you feel like you can do it on your cell phone, we can do it. You let me know. I'm holding it right now because I thought that would be a really good way to do that, because I think you have a lot to potentially add to that, and I think that would really be neat. So you let me know on that, and then, like I said, anytime
Yeah.
you want to come in and update, I know you've got some key dates coming up here of different things that'll be happening in your life. So when you want to come on and update us,
Yeah,
you
I mean, I'll
you let me
definitely,
know.
like I said, and I'm gonna I'll work on getting that channel, together
Yep,
enough that I can actually start doing some update, start doing
absolutely.
updates on that one.
Yep.
Start, doing the weekly updates again, trying to, man,
Yep.
get back in the swing of
Well,
things.
just remember,
So,
Ty, on your phone, right? Before
yeah,
until you can get on there, you can go vertical on your phone and just literally go right in and click live and put in a little title, Ty Update Weekly, and you can just start
yep.
talking to your phone. So,
Yep, that's why
um,
I planned on doing that. It's like that's basically how I planned on doing them originally.
yep,
I'm actually going to do some shorts too, just so that, man, there's
yep,
some shorts out there, things that, man, come up where, man, I just have some, some ideas on it or whatever, and I'll put those out there too. But the weekly updates, I think, man, yeah, I definitely, I see that coming because, I mean, really, eventually I'm going to end up doing more as far as, again, more of this, case analysis and, critiquing, the different cases that come up, that kind of thing. I think it's, kind of a unique perspective that, again, court TV doesn't really offer right now.
right,
Or anybody actually right now. You know, again, I'm not a lawyer, and I would never, claim to have as not much legal knowledge as a lawyer does. But I do have 7 years worth of schooling on this stuff,
absolutely.
So
No,
it's,
hey, listen,
so
you've got about as good of a schooling as you could have. I mean, in Virginia, I looked it up, and one of our live, I think it was our first live, somebody came in and said, "Oh, you can become a lawyer in school, without having to go to law school." And in Virginia, it's true. All you got to do is pass the bar. But
right.
you've had enough experience that you would probably qualify over there with the experience you had. If you could pass the bar exam, you'd be in there. I mean, what you've gone through representing yourself, trying a case. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I
you've
always
got
tell the lawyers, I'm just like, or people who ask me about becoming a lawyer, I'm just like, nah, I'm not arrogant enough for that.
that's right.
So, just, it's like, again, I think I like the idea of, man, just staying, staying pro se or, not even pro se, because I'm not really even pro se anymore. I'm not even going to be doing that anymore.
Right.
Although I may be handling, I don't know, again, I'm talking to some lawyers, and, oh, speaking of which, yes, if there are any lawyers out there, yes, I am shopping for a lawyer for the divorce. I would rather not handle it pro se, but if it comes down to it, I
Well,
will.
yeah,
It's just, I think in this particular case, it might be better to get an attorney, man, to go ahead and handle it.
absolutely.
But yeah, and obviously the lawsuits, like I told you,
And the
those,
lawsuits
no,
contact you.
I'm getting a law firm. I'm going to hand it over to them. Say, go get them.
Yep.
As far as that goes, I mean, obviously, if they have any questions about the case or need anything from me, I'll be available. But
Yep.
there's other things I can do to go after them, or and other things I can do in general. That it would be better to have a firm handle that. That's going to be a lot of
Absolutely.
litigation, a lot of
Yep.
complex litigation, and again, I don't. And to be quite honest, I don't have the skills for that. I
Right.
mean, I just don't.
Right.
So it would be, it would be prudent to go ahead and get a large law firm to do it. Yep. But
Absolutely.
yeah. Not that I mean, look, hopefully hopefully I don't ever have a problem again as far as any criminal law, but I will be the advocate for people manhandling it themselves.
Absolutely.
It's just one of those. I think there's a lot of situations people could handle it
Well, I think
themselves.
you've got a unique experience, Ty, that you've been through, and being able to handle it on yourself. And I think that it's something that you need to definitely, as you rebuild and get yourself to a place of stability, you need to reach out to somebody who can help coordinate, maybe an agent or something, for you to go around and talk to law schools. I think law students should hear your story. I think it would be absolutely
Actually,
inspirational.
that's already been discussed already too, because
Good.
that actually has been discussed already.
Or talk to a
And man,
lawyer who might have it in at one law school. I mean, but being able
yeah,
to just go around and say, "Hey, you're going to go talk at a law school graduation," and say, "Guys, I know what you're getting about to get into."
yeah.
I
Well, and not
went
only
and
that,
fought a
it's
case for my life for 7 years in
yeah.
Florida, and
Well, and I mean,
I
look,
mean,
because look, I mean, if these people are going to be lawyers, right? If they're actually in law school or whatever, yeah, they kind of need to know, man, if nothing else, how to defend against a pro se
but not
defendant.
only
You know what I'm
that,
saying?
but
How
it's
they
the
going to handle it?
challenge from someone like yourself, because those guys are about to graduate, right? And what you're
Right?
saying is, right now, your opinion about the justice system is that it would be better left in the hands of the defendant than the lawyers that are out there. So you can
Yep.
be the battle cry and the rattle cry to say, you need to be better than me. You need to go out
Right.
and advocate for
Well,
your
and look,
clients and be the
well,
advocate that you're supposed to be. Don't sit,
right,
because I'm the guy that's sitting in the jail. I'm on the other side of this. I
right,
experienced that,
exactly.
you know.
Exactly. And man, again, look, there are ethics rules for a reason,
Yeah.
and man, look, I think lawyers, most of them accept lying as part of the game, right? And it's not supposed to be, right? There's those ethical rules in there for a reason, and you are supposed to be held to a higher standard.
Yep.
I mean, you are, man, enforcing, man, freaking all the rules for all of us, right? You're
Yep.
making the rules, you're judging them, and you're enforcing them, so you know what? You kind of, man, have to be held to a higher standard,
Absolutely.
and lying is not part of it, you know.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, man, any of the other ethical rules that they do break, but the bottom line is no, breaking the rules should not be your way to win,
No, it
right? And
should
there's
not.
too many. I mean, not only that, winning should not be your top man priority. You
No,
know, justice is supposed to be your top priority.
that's right.
It's not. That's where it happened down in Monroe. I mean, look, they were so gung ho about winning and man forgetting about justice. This is not justice. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. It's not
Correct.
about how many cases you win. You know, so but that's the thing is there's a bunch of different things that yes talking to some law students would I probably have give them a different perspective.
Oh, I think you
So
absolutely would. I think it would be inspirational to them, especially as they're going, into the field, is saying, listen, it would be a fantastic opportunity to hear your story and get out of there. And I think in general, people are going to want to hear your story, but I think that's also going to be part of hopefully what will build for you as David drops his podcast and maybe some of these other things work out with Netflix to bring that bigger level attention than just YouTube, and
yep.
say, hey,
I mean, yeah.
this was
I
a
mean
really wrong
that
thing to
would be
happen.
great. Yep, and I
You know?
mean, literally, all the thing is, man. Look, it's like anything else, man. You just got to, man, get down and get to work. I mean,
That's right.
you put in the work, man, things happen.
Yep.
That's just how it works. Now, I've had, obviously, I've had some stumbling blocks coming out of man jail.
Right.
Things that I didn't anticipate. I mean, look, I'm just now finding all kinds of things that I did not anticipate.
Right.
So it's like, okay, stumbling blocks are, that they are what they are. You're always going to have speed bumps, but one of my favorite quotes of all time is if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're absolutely correct. And yeah, that's the way it works. If you think you can, man, you think you can do it, you'll find a way to make it happen. Whether you got to go over it, through it, around it, whatever you got to do, you'll find a way to make it happen. If you
Yep.
think you can't, well, you're going to make every excuse out there to fail. That's basically the
Yep.
way it works. So I definitely live by that theory.
Yep.
And yeah, so I don't doubt that, especially with the amount of people even on this one broadcast. I mean, how many people, man, are offering help, offering to help me, man, get out over the speed bump.
Yep.
So yeah, once that happens, yeah, I mean, anything is possible. There's all kinds of things, man. The world is wide open again.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see how we do.
Yep, for certain. Well, Ty, I mean, like I said, I hope when we talk next time, everything is moving and you're in a more stable situation as far as just having everything set up around you. And obviously we're staying in contact. But as if you need to come on, if there's something we need to address, we'll do it, and then we'll definitely get together on the Rory stuff because I think that would be really cool.
Yep. Yeah, that'd probably
And
be
then
a
the
lot of
other
fun,
thing I
man.
would like to do, Ty,
Both of
too,
that
I
case,
think.
man, that'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I think it would also be great too is to do to sit down and at some point get a bunch of creators that supported you, and we all get together and have a rewatch the trial with you with your
Well,
feedback.
actually, what I need to do is I was going to reach out to Drip Drop about it, but I need to get those sidebar conversations, man,
Yeah, that
added
would be
to
awesome.
the video, and then
Yep.
then we should do that. Go ahead,
Oh
man.
yeah, I think that would be awesome just to sit down and just
Yep.
be able to sit and chat and talk and
Well,
react.
and
I mean,
people
I
would
think that
actually
would
get
be
to
a
see the
huge
real
benefit.
deal then.
Yep.
All that stuff that they missed, man, they would actually get to see. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So.
Yep. So
I think that'd be a really good project to work on. So
absolutely.
once I get up and running here, because that one's on a CD, so without a computer, I can't really do too much.
Gotcha.
So that one, man. I'll have to get it, man, as soon as I get a laptop
So you're
or
gonna have to get
whatever.
it transferred from the CD to a drive or something, and
Exactly, gonna
be
have to
able to
get it,
get it
man,
all done.
transferred from the
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah.
But that's the one that was a Morgan gave me. Just
Awesome.
all it has is the audios from the trial. But the thing is since the sidebars are part of the court record, then they're still included.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah. So I mean, all that stuff that you guys out there didn't get to see, or actually hear, I should say. You didn't get to hear what we were saying. But I mean, how many times did Mansfield be like sidebar, sidebar?
Oh
It's
my
like, okay.
God. Yeah, when you rewatch the trial, because I reran the trial back in August, and holy crap. I mean, he was just abusing sidebars, and it was like he'd take you over there and you could see the hands going and talking, and then
Mhm.
you
Yep.
there were times
But
you'd
you guys
walk
have
away
no
from
idea
there and
what
I
it
could tell
said. You
you
know what I
were
mean?
upset.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, yeah, I mean, you could tell when it went my way, and you could tell when it didn't.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Yep.
well, man, I really appreciate you coming on here, and
Oh, yeah.
everybody, the GoFundMe is pinned at the top. Ty, as you work on things, what they've requested is as you work on these different avenues of support, like Cash App, Venmo,
Mm-hmm.
your Amazon wish list, please post them. Everyone's asking, post to your Facebook page. So just put up a
Yeah, I
Facebook
will.
post, and
Actually, that's a good
everyone's going to
idea.
go there looking so they can lend their hand and trying to help you get to where you can be in a
Well, and man,
position
look,
to continue to fight,
I
man.
appreciate everybody.
Yep,
Look, I
absolutely.
mean, without all your support, man. I mean, look, who knows? I mean, I may not, look, I mean, the fight from jail. I mean, one of the reasons, man, I could do it is because I had people out here supporting me.
Yep,
So
absolutely. 110%.
I mean, it's like I definitely I have to be very grateful for all of your help. And I am, and it's just my way of giving back is to go ahead and make sure I give back to the situation, make sure I give back to what's right, if nothing
Mm-hmm.
else.
Absolutely.
So but yeah, I really do appreciate it though. It's like, man, and I'm going to go through the comments. I'll make sure that, man, I don't miss anything, and make sure that that way I know what to do as far as these different things.
Yep.
But yeah, Facebook, I will be posting everything on Facebook. I always post, man, at least, man, on my page, if nothing else. So,
Okay.
you can always look on there, and, anything that, is coming up or anything that's, going down, I usually, I'm going to post it up on Facebook before it happens, so, but yeah, so anyway, always a pleasure. 'Cause, man, it's like, we always have, man, you and I could go off for, hours and hours. I know
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I know your wife has probably yelled at you more than once.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
ahead, I'll go ahead, man, let you go, and I'll
Yep.
get back to work, and start figuring out some of these things. And
Absolutely,
but it
man.
was it's great to see you,
No, it's a
man.
great conversation. Thank you for coming on, buddy. And listen, you keep whatever you need, man. Let me know, and we're trying to make it happen and continue keeping you out here until you can get the infrastructure set up for yourself. So, you just let me know.
Man.
Keep in contact.
All right, man.
All right.
Thanks
brother.
a lot, man.
Hey, man,
All
no
right.
problem. Yep.
Franklin Tyrone Tucker breaks the mold, so you need no lawyer in the game matches his winning streak. Up in the courtroom, standing tall, no retreat. Got the judge and the jury tapping to his beat. Top of the court, Frank's the name you know. Took on the system, and he stole the show. Rising so high, ain't no going low. Franklin T stands tall, let the legend grow. Books and briefs, enhanced strategy so tight. Solo in the legal world, shining so bright. Beat every case, dropped every fight. Gavel drops, victory, feeling so right. Oh, top of the court, Frank's the name you know. Took on the system, and he stole the show. Rising so high, ain't no going low. Franklin T stands tall, let the legend grow. Defying all the odds, came without doubt. No backing down, proving what he's about. Raising the bar in every single bout. Franklin T, the name you wanna shout. Top of the court, Frank's the name you know. Took on the system, and he stole the show. Rising so high, ain't no going low. Franklin T stands tall, let the legend grow. Let the legend